Looks like we're at 9 o'clock for our regular Board of Supervisors meeting here on August 6th. I'd like to call this meeting to order and start with a moment of silence. Supervisor Green, I think you said you had one. Does anyone else have one as well, just in case?
Thank you. I'd like to have a moment of silence for Mr. Brian Benavidez, 58 years old. He passed away July 31 at our Homaton Emergency Shelter after a medical emergency. And we want to thank shelter staff and other residents there for being there during a difficult time, and also to our first responders.
Thank you, and I have one as well. I'd like to offer a moment of silence to Lawson David Beck. He leaves behind his wife, Quetta Beck, as he actually passed on Friday, May 24th, 2024, but his celebration of life will be this Sunday on his heavenly birthday at the Nice Community Baptist Church. He leaves behind his wife, Quetta, the mother to Mark Wayne Allison of Nice and Juanita Allison, both Upper Lake High School alumni. He was baptized also at Nice Community Baptist Church by Pastor Rich Robert of Nice Community Baptist Church. And again, his celebration of life will be this Sunday following the memorial service. Chief Rasmussen, would you lead us in the pledge, please?
Yes. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we're on item number 4, consideration of extra items not appearing on the posted agenda. Is there anyone that has one? No? No. All right, so we'll move on to the consent agenda. Consent agenda items can be pulled by either the Board of Supervisors or any community member or citizen that would like to discuss it further. They're usually non-controversial, however, at times can be pulled. So is there anyone on the board that wants to pull a consent agenda item? Supervisor Sabatier?
Mr. Chair, I'd like to pull item 512.
Item 5.12 pulled. Is there any others?
We would like to pull 5.8.
5.8. All right, so we have 5.8, 5.12. I'll open up to the public. Is there anyone?
Vice Chair,
Boyd?
it would be, we would like to include 5.19 as well.
Okay, 5.19. So 5.8, 5.19. Let's see. Let me just mark it so I got it. All right, I'll open it up to the public. Is there anyone from the public in the chambers that would like to pull anything from the consent agenda items? Anyone from Zoom? All right. Hearing and seeing nothing, we'll go ahead and move forward to action, bringing it back to the board, closing public input.
Move to approve the consent agenda items 5.1 through 5.21 with the exceptions of 5.8, 5.12, and 5.19.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And motion carries. With that, we'll move on to 6.1, our timed items. Our timed items, and our first one is 6.1, public input. I do have 2 here. Go ahead and start with previous Supervisor Jeff Smith. Come on up.
Thank you, Board. A couple of things. The first thing is I really want to thank the road department and our new road department head, and especially the street sweeper guy that has spent almost a week up on our streets after we talked to you guys 2 or 3 weeks ago. We just met this morning, another half-hour meeting to get our issues resolved, and I really appreciate the effort finally that we have gotten to get some things done. The second thing I wanted to talk about was EJ, I really wish you would follow through and return phone calls like a board member should. You called me on a Friday in January, and I returned the call. We spoke for 18 minutes that following Monday. That was about the middle of January. You'd told me, I'll get back to you by the end of the week, and if not the end of the week, by the end of the month. And I guess I should have asked what year that was going to be, because, you know, it's a little ridiculous over the last 5 years, seeing now that I'm in your district, and I try to follow through and get communication. And the biggest communication was this road deal. If we hadn't have come ourselves as a community before the board, we'd still be sitting and waiting to get something done. So please follow through. You should return every phone call, whether it's good news or bad news. Return the calls. My neighbor's gone through the same thing that's here, about you returning his phone calls. Please do so. It's a common courtesy, whether it's bad news or not, at least return the call. Thank you.
Thank you. Alan Fletcher, please come up.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. This is informational. I'm not asking the board to do anything. I have requested that my supervisor provide me with assistance in expediting a code complaint that I filed on Friday. As you know, we now have Measure U, and so Save Kelseyville is a political committee, and that political committee printed and distributed signs labeled Save Kelseyville. Those are not freedom of expression. Anyone can put up a handwritten sign saying Save Kelseyville, but a sign that says savekelseyville.com is a political sign. So I'm asking first that code enforcement determine that those signs are political. Secondly, political signs come under subsection X, which says, well, first it does not mention the size of a sign. So a sign, in my opinion, could be anything from a postcard to a 100-foot billboard. If they wanted to exclude flyers and yard signs, they could have done so. All the other regulations specify maximum sizes. Nothing specifies a minimum size, which would make it a political sign. Thirdly, since it is a political sign, they are not allowed to be displayed until August the 7th. So those dozens of Save Kelseyville signs are today code violations. So I'm asking that action be taken today to request of the person responsible, namely the Save Kelseyville Committee, that they take down those signs today. Maybe they can put them up tomorrow again, but I request that they be taken down today. And I think I've designated 3 signs, 2 at the residence of Mr. Mark Borghesino, and 1 larger sign opposite Kelseyville Lumber. I know it's symbolic just to tag those 3 signs, but it would make a symbolic point. Finally, since they are political signs, the people who put them up should be informed that they have to be taken down 10 days after the end of the election. So I urge you to, Mr. Crandall and maybe one other, Mr. Green maybe, to consult with code enforcement and make sure that those determinations are made, namely they are political signs, small signs are not exempt, and secondly, to take action today on at least 3 of those signs. Thank you.
Thank you. Is there any other public input in the room?
Yeah, we do have one more public
All right.
input. Millie Simon.
All right, come on up.
Hi, I'm the county supervisor. I'm reading this for Wanda Quiddy-Quit. She wanted me to read this to your...
The microphone so we can hear you here. Let me...
Okay, thank you. Okay. Hi, Lake County Supervisors, or good morning. I just wanted to read this little bit of paragraph from Wanda Quiddy-Quit. It was due to our Pomo statue, and she just wants to thank I'll read it. Hello, my name is Wanda Quiddiquit. She couldn't be here today. I'm a member of the Tribal Advisory Committee to Lake County Museum. I am so happy to have this moment to present this small bronzette maquette of the Lake County family statue to you as preview what the life-size statue will look like. It will be a memento when it is finally standing on the lawn of the Courthouse Museum. I want to thank the Board of Supervisors for all you have done for this project. It will give a great meaning and presence to us. The meaning of presence to us and the indigenous Pomo people of Lake County, because it will represent our past, present, and future. And from my heart, I thank you, Board of Supervisors. So, well, I guess the maquette is done, and someday they will bring it in. Well, Carolyn Burley will bring it and show it to you guys. So, anyway, I just wanted to pass this note on for her because she could not be here. But thank you for your time.
And that's Millie Simon. I'll just state her name as she's walking back, right?
Yep.
All right, is there any other public input?
I'd like to read something, yes.
Come on up.
Good morning. My name is Frances Ford. I live in Kelseyville. This is about the vetting process of the BGN. And it says here that all geographic name proposals forwarded from the BGN to the CAGN will be reviewed and researched to identify historical context, any association with discrimination and violence, geography, relevance, and impacted stakeholders. I read that because a letter was sent to you. You've had it since quite a while, and there's been a decision to take a ballot measure on, and I would ask you to rethink and rescind that because of the fact that paying $50,000 to find out what our county's about is not for me. I am about the change of the name. I know that there's racism in our courthouse, in our streets, everywhere we live. It's everywhere. So to pay for that understanding is an insult. It's an insult to you by not recognizing and writing this letter earlier. So that's all I think. I thank you for the statue also. Thanks for bringing that to the board this morning. And good day.
All right. Any other public input? Anything on Zoom?
No hands
No?
on Zoom.
All right. And so I just wanted to state, Mr. Smith, there is a Central Region Town Hall next week on Monday. And I did mention last time you can attend those, and I'm sure you can relate, as I heard the numerous voicemails of frustrated constituents when my colleague and I started out, when I had to hear those on mine and on his voicemail. So I appreciate that, and I'll do my best to call back. All right. Let's see what we got next. It's 9:14, so we'll go ahead and move on to Pet of the Week. I see he's eager to come to the front.
Little bowl in the china shop. Good morning, everybody. My name is Officer Murray. I'm with the Lake County Animal Care and Control. This morning, I have with me Sir. He is a 2-year-old German Shepherd. One of my coworkers really, really loves this dog, so she wrote out a little passage for me to read for him today, because we are very hopeful that somebody falls in love with him like we all did. So So this is Sir. He is a 2-year-old German Shepherd. He's a complete love bug. He just wants to be a giant lap dog. He would do great in any type of home. He loves all people, kids, other dogs. He even knows a few commands like sit and twirl, although today he's a little bit, I think, nervous because sit doesn't seem to be in his vocabulary. Sir would be happy to be your new hiking buddy or your resident couch potato. He loves treats, toys, baths, and his most favorite thing is being told how handsome he is. If you know anyone or if you are interested in coming down and meeting this amazing boy or any of our other amazing animals, we're located at 4949 Hellbush Drive, and our phone number is 707-263-0278. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, we'll move on to item 6.3. Presentation of proclamation designating August 2024 as Child Support Awareness Month. Supervisor Simon will be reading this proclamation.
Where do you want us here?
Come on up. Good morning. Go ahead and read the proclamation, and we'll talk a little bit about it. All right, good morning. Proclamation designating August 2024 as Child Support Awareness Month. Whereas Child Support Awareness Month underscores the critical importance of supporting families and connecting them with the vital resources they need to help their children grow and thrive. Whereas California's families span many diverse structures and backgrounds, and California Child Support Services works to connect families of all kinds with support to care for their children. While each family's needs are unique, the shared goal is ensuring every child is provided for and feels safe and loved. And whereas child support professionals are dedicated to assisting parents and legal guardians in providing consistent support for their children and understand that one size does not fit all. From prioritizing payments to families over aid recoupment to utilizing enforcement actions that promote payment and family stability, the state is committed to finding solutions and meeting people where they are. And whereas during Child Support Awareness Month, we recognize the role of these efforts to secure shelter, safety, and support for the youngest Californians in bringing us closer to creating a California for all and forging a brighter future for the entire state. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake does hereby proclaim the month of August 2024 as Child Support Awareness Month and encourages all Californians to recognize that by providing for all of California's children is one of the best investments our state can make. Passed and adopted the 6th day of August 2024, signed by the Chair of the Board of Supervisors.
Thank you. All right. My name is Tammy Widener. I'm the director of the Child Support Office. I would like to acknowledge my staff and thank all of my staff for all their hard work and dedication to the child support program. The best way for us to educate the community about our services and how we provide them is through outreach and the events. Tracy Garcia is our supervisor in the department, and the last couple months she's taken over our outreach coordination, and I want her to tell you about it. It's great. She's very enthusiastic, so I'm very excited that she's in that role. Okay.
Morning, everyone. I'm Tracy Garcia. In honor of Child Support Awareness Month, please help yourself to a purple ribbon honoring Child Support Awareness Month. I'd also like to invite you, everyone, to come out to our office on Thursday, August 8th, between 9 and 12. We'll be having a little celebration, cold beverages, games. We'll have literature, prizes, case managers available to answer questions, open a child support case if you choose to do so. We'd also like you to look for us at the following community partner events. First off, Scotts Valley Band of Pomo Indians Big Time event, Saturday, August 24th at 7130 Red Hills Road in Kelseyville. This will be an all-day event, 10 to 10. Also, the Veterans Stand Down will be Wednesday, September 18th, 10 to 4 at Clear Lake American Legion, put on by Lake County Vet Connect. We'll also be at the National Night Out, Tuesday, October 1st, 4 to 7, downtown Lakeport, put on by Lakeport Police Department. And then Resilient Reentry is going to be Friday, October 11th at the Lake County Woodland College in Clear Lake from 9 to 4, put on by the Lake County Probation. And then finally, Health and Wellness Fair is going to be Saturday, October 19th from 10 to 2 at the Hobbiton Community Park in Lakeport, and that's put on by Sutter Health. Please also follow us on our Facebook page and scan our QR code if you'd like to have instant online access to child support services. Thank you all for your continued support and participation.
We'll open it up to the board for any comments.
Thank you for this proclamation. It's really important to ensure that, to ensure that children have options to be taken care of and that parents aren't left alone without this type of, this advocacy and whatnot. So thank you for your work.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. I'd like to open it up to, or did you want to talk?
Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, okay, I was going to open it up to the public to see if anyone would like to come talk about Child Support Awareness Month. All right. We'll bring it back to the board and go ahead and take our picture.
Oh, great. That's perfect. One more. Thanks so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right, item 6.4, presentation of proclamation celebrating the retirement of Lakeport Police Chief Brad Rasmussen. And Supervisor Green will be conducting this proclamation.
No, she says no. We'll get another shot tonight. Well, I think this is false advertising because you are retiring from Lakeport Police, but you will be joining this board in January as an esteemed member of the Board of Supervisors. But let's start with the actual retirement part. And I want to do a shout out to City of Lakeport. You have 2 more paragraphs in your whereases, so good job, City. Proclamation celebrating the retirement of Lakeport Police Chief Brad Rasmussen. Whereas Chief Brad Rasmussen has served with distinction for 35 years within the City of Lakeport Police Department, including 14 years as Chief of Police. And whereas he began his service in 1989 as a reserve officer and moved up through the ranks serving as a patrol officer, sergeant, and lieutenant before assuming the role of Chief of Police in 2010. And whereas throughout his tenure, Chief Rasmussen recognized the importance of connecting public safety and community well-being by addressing homelessness and mental health issues, advocating for community-oriented policing, and supporting community events such as National Night Out. And whereas he was a leader within the Lake County Law Enforcement Chiefs Association by leading collaborations between local, state, and federal agencies to bring critical and timely training and key programs to enhance public safety in Lake County. And whereas Chief Rasmussen's dedication, leadership, integrity, and deep respect for his community will be missed shortly and is deeply appreciated. Now therefore, be it proclaimed that the Board of Supervisors of the County of Lake does hereby celebrate the retirement of Lakeport Police Chief Brad Rasmussen and sincerely thanks him for his service to not only the City of Lakeport, but also the County of Lake, and wishes him much health and happiness for his retirement. Passed and adopted this 6th day of August, 2024, and signed by the chair. Chief has to have some words. Let's do it, Chief.
Well, first of all, I'd like to thank the Board of Supervisors for recognizing my service in law enforcement in Lakeport and this county. Over the past 3.5 decades, I've had the opportunity to work with countless county agencies, staff members, many board members over the years, and I've always enjoyed that partnership and always found that, you know, everybody that was out there, regardless of what agency they were in, really cared about making a difference in our community. So I've always appreciated that. And I also like to thank the public for their support over the years. And I look forward to continuing public service and working with this board next year. Thank you.
Anyone from the board?
I'll attempt. Chief, thank you for your dedication to the community. Looking forward to working with you. Thank you so much.
Yeah, so we have been serving together on the Disaster Council for the last several years. I hope you take the next few months to rest up. And we really look forward to serving with you and having you up here on the dais with us.
Thank you.
I'd just like to thank you for the long-term service, and I'm on the Disaster Council also, but I know the disasters we've gone through. I know that you've done your part in the community. I just want to thank you for your long-term service. Yeah, and good luck on the board.
Thank you.
Chief, thank you for your service. Can't say it even more so than it's already been said, but your service is impeccable, and I'm sure you'll do a great job when you're sitting up here with us next year. So looking forward to that. Go ahead, Supervisor Green.
I'll just brag on you a little bit more. It was a 1.5 years ago. We take down with me and said, "This is not personal, but I'm going to run for." And I took my word. Is this messing up?
Thank you.
How about that? That's better. I have come to know you better over the years in your various roles, not just the chief of police, and a very capable leader and a thoughtful leader, just as the proclamation said, driving leadership on homelessness issues, understanding the interplay of mental health and policing. But also in this last year, I've come to appreciate your, as we'll state in the city proclamation tonight, your volunteerism with other community groups. It is a very hard thing to do to keep momentum in small communities, especially through volunteerism. And that stands out to me as much over this past year as anything else, not just a stellar law enforcement career and a very unusually thoughtful and compassionate approach to policing, but just how fully ingrained you are in this community and why people do love and respect you so much. And I think that's why they spoke by legions in the election and voted to put you up on this dais. So my personal appreciation to you, you've been a good police chief and also a good mentor to me. Thank you.
Thank you.
I still want to let it open for the public if anyone wants to come up and say anything.
Alan Fletcher, I want to thank you and your department for participating so vigorously in the Visioning Commission forums. You not only came yourself to at least one of the public forums, but you sent, I believe, your new police chief, and he was there every single meeting. Chief White from Clear Lake was there, and the sheriff was conspicuously absent. So one more example of public participation. On the forum, I think we expected policing to be a #1 hot issue, but in none of our forums did anybody stand up and complain about policing in the county or the towns. Thank you.
All right. Sheriff Howe?
Good morning, Board. Lake County Sheriff Rob Howe. I just want to congratulate Brad on his retirement, as short-lived as it might be. Enjoy the next few months. I've had the pleasure of working with Brad for most of our entire careers. I believe we started about the same time, different departments, same business. Got to work very closely together as partner agents with the Narcotic Task Force. Enjoyed that a lot. I've always known Brad to be an excellent cop, an excellent leader, an honest, strong family man. He's going to do a great job at his next ventures. Congratulations, Brad.
Good morning, Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. I have been super fortunate to know Chief Rasmussen for at least the last 10 years, and I echo Supervisor Green's mentioning of how he serves as a mentor. You know, we've been through numerous disasters or emergencies, both community-wide and in my own personal little world, and throughout that, Chief Rasmussen is like oil on water, like nothing shocks him. And he's always about solving and working the problem and keeping people safe and benefiting this community, both in his professional as well as in his personal realm. And that level of calm and perspective and capability actually strengthens everybody that comes into contact with him. So very thankful. I'm not saying that just because you're going to be my new boss. So thank you.
All right. Does anyone else want to come up and, all right, there we go.
I had not planned to come up and say anything, but Brad, I just to you, from me to you, I mean, we would have breakfast frequently throughout the course of my time here as the Lakeport Fire Chief, and you always was wise counsel. You always kept me from making bonehead decisions, I think. I mean, I probably made several bonehead decisions, but I know you always helped me with your guidance and leadership. But most importantly, I mean, your family and your children is a testament of who you are as a person, right? You know, I love what you've done with your family and how your children have excelled, and I look forward to participating and supporting you in your new role as a supervisor. And again, we'll continue with the breakfast.
Sir, what was your name?
Jeff Thomas.
Just for the record, sorry. Yeah.
Jeff Thomas.
Thank you. Thank you.
Kevin Ingram, City Manager with the City of Lakeport. It was a real tough decision for us. You know, we've had Brad here for 35 years, and it was tough to let him go and come over here to the county. But we figured we've been hogging him for 35 years, so it's only appropriate to. No, in all honesty, Brad, it's been a huge honor. I've had the privilege to work directly with you day in and day out these past 10 years that I've been with the city. You're an incredible mentor. You mean a tremendous amount to us, and we're so excited that you're not leaving us completely and that we'll get to continue to work with you in your new capacity. But thank you for your visioning to the community. You've been doing community policing as the tenet of your being even before that name existed. And for that, the city is internally grateful to you. If you want to hear me speak more on that issue in the council, we'll be honoring Chief Rasmussen this evening. But thank you, Brad, for everything you've done for me personally and for the city of Lakeport.
All right. If there's nothing else, we'll close and bring it back to the board, and we'll do our picture.
He knows. Oh, that's great. We've got you trained. Whoa. Okay, one more just in case. Thanks so much. Oh, sorry. Oh, here, come on. Oh, let's go. Okay. Come on. Good job. You don't get off that easy. Oh, great. Thanks so much. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks. Thank you.
Just last shout out, in addition to tonight's proclamation for Brad at Lakeport City Council, Dale Stobie will be sworn in as the next police chief of the city of Lakeport. So come on down for that, Dale. We appreciate you too. Just not quite as much as Brad yet.
All right. So we're right on time for our 9:30 presentation on the Clear Lake Integrated Science Symposium by Lake County Watershed Protection District staff. All right. Right, Dr. Apadye, the floor is yours.
So, Angela would be taking this presentation, giving us.
Oh, Angela, okay.
Yeah.
Can you hear me this morning, board?
Yes, we can.
Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay. I was trying to video in, but it says the host has stopped it. So hopefully you'll just be able to hear my voice today. And my name is Angela DePalma Dow. I'm a program coordinator in Lake County Water Resources. And today we're going to provide a brief update on the Clear Lake Integrated Science Symposium. This event is happening next week. So I wanted to make sure, because it is a public event and the Watershed Protection District has coordinated this event, that we provide an update to the board and to the public. And I wanted to start off and thank the event sponsors and supporters. I believe there are some hard copy flyers in the board chambers. We also have this flyer on our website with all of our sponsors and financial supporters listed there. Also, the co-coordinator for this event with myself is Dr. Janine Pfeiffer. Our event planner is Abby Lou Presents. Our amazing accountant in Water Resources that was able to add yet another tedious financial project to her docket. Thank you, Jacqueline Stores. We also have a film as part of this event, and our magic movie maker, Sam Houston, is incredible in putting that together, and all the district staff that have helped put this, helped plan this event and will be there to help on the event in real life, in real time. The purpose of this event is it's History for Research and Management in Clear Lake. So it's a 2-day symposium. It's going to cover all the latest developments in water quality monitoring, land and lake management, conservation, restoration activities in the Clear Lake watershed. And the last time we had a symposium dedicated to Clear Lake in Lake County was in 1997 and 1998. It was 2 days, but spread over 2 different years. And the covers of those symposium proceedings I've provided here. So it's been a little bit. It's been about 25 years, actually, since we had a dedicated Clear Lake Science Symposium. And there's been a lot of changes to the lake, a lot of research and management that has occurred. And so we really wanted to have a comprehensive, publicly accessible event that would showcase all this work and identify the next steps going forward. And hopefully we won't be waiting 25 years for the next one. That's my goal. So this event will be majorly in person in Upper Lake at Robinson Rancheria Conference Center, and we will have sessions there during the day, Thursday, Friday. We also have another offsite location for sessions, and that'll be at Bimatal's Upper Lake Meeting Hall, because we have so much science and so much research to cover that we had to have sessions at the same time in 2 different locations. And because tribal partners are so vital to everything that has occurred in the watershed and continues to occur, we wanted to make sure that we were able to incorporate 2 tribal locations in this event. In the evening, there's going to be poster session networking events Thursday evening at Robinson Rancheria. And that'll be 5:30 to 8. And then on Friday, the 16th in the evening, we're going to bring it back to Lakeport for the Clear Lake Film and Science Slam. And this is a mini science documentary, and I have a slide with a little more information on that in a bit. So briefly, some of the process that we put together for this, because it is a huge event, is we really needed to, well, we started with the idea, the concept was derived from a meeting during winter 2023 for Clear Lake Hitch. And this was at UC Davis, in Davis, with a variety of researchers, managers, and anybody that wanted to kind of figure out how we go forward on the Clear Lake Hitch. And one of the things that came out was that there isn't one place where all of the current science and research on the lake and the basin is put together. And in order to manage the hitch, which rely on tributaries in the lake, we had to have a spot for that. And so we really felt that the Watershed Protection District was the appropriate entity to put this on, to make sure that there was complete public access and awareness for this event. And also, as the local managing agency, it made sense for us to also host this. We had 2 planning events for the Science Symposium, one in November, one in April, and we also released a participation survey. So we wanted to make sure that researchers and managers were even interested in participating, and if they had current research and management that they were willing to share. So we did a survey to make sure that we had enough interest in order to put an event on and to kind of gauge the level of involvement before we endeavored on this huge planning process. And then we did conduct some outreach to the community, especially through social media. We wanted to make sure that, people wanted to be involved and also to maximize the resources from the community. So we did a call for wildlife photos and videos, and let people know that we were doing a symposium and wanted to see what the public could provide as far as images about Clear Lake and Clear Lake watershed. And so that's what some of these images are here of the mountain lion and the bear. And then we also did a call for exhibitors and sponsors and volunteers. So this was after the second planning meeting. And this was because we wanted to make sure that we had this collaboration and accessibility. So exhibitors are going to have booths. They're going to provide info, networking materials. They also contributed a large amount to our swag bags. And these are companies or organizations and partners that are doing work here in Clear Lake or with Clear Lake organizations and agencies. And so it was really important to be able to have ability for them to mingle with the public and with all the partners at this event. So sponsors, sometimes people maybe couldn't attend in person, but they wanted to support the event. Or sometimes they wanted to provide some other sort of support. So sponsorships include in-kind. They also, sponsors are vital for providing financial resources for our reception, our snack breaks, and then of course our swag bag materials. And then we did a call for volunteers. So if anybody wants to be involved in volunteering at the event itself, we also released that call. And that is vital too, because it's a big event. There's going to be stuff that comes up that we're going to need help with, and our little district staff is going to be there, but it's great to have more engaged and excited volunteers to help. So this is the schedule of the event. It is very small, and I'm not going to go in detail for everything. I really encourage anybody to check out our website, and on the Water Resource Department website, this schedule is posted there as an image. You can also download it as a PDF, but you can see where we have our breaks, we have our keynote speakers, and we have the sessions and the sessions topics. And again, it's really small. I'm not going to go through each one. I don't mind answering questions this morning for any specific sessions or what might be covered, but I just wanted to make sure that highlight the schedule was on our website. And these are all the agencies and partners and anyone that's participating in the symposium. So whether they're presenting, they're moderating, they're leading a workshop. And I think this is a really great snapshot of all the partners and collaborations and people and agencies that are bringing information together for this event, that have been conducting research, management, science here in Clear Lake and in the basin. And so I'm just really proud and excited that all of these partners are together for this event. Our event blessing will be by Jaime Boggs. Really appreciative for him for being able to participate. He is a member at large in Robinson Rancheria Council. Thank you, Jaime. And our keynote speaker will be Geneva Thompson. She is from the California Natural Resource Agency and the Deputy Secretary for Tribal Affairs. And Geneva has been out here to Clear Lake. She's been involved in the Clear Lake Blue Ribbon Committee for Clear Lake Restoration. She's been to site visits. She's been out on her boat. She always attends the meetings. She's really been invested in work here in Clear Lake, and we're really excited to have her as our keynote speaker. So a little details on the evening activities. On Thursday at 6 p.m. at Robinson, we'll have a science networking reception. So this will be a poster presentation where the public and partners can mingle with scientists, managers, ask those detailed questions, have conversations over mocktails and snacks. And again, there'll be posters there that will be presenting some of the information that isn't covered in the talks during the symposium. And then on Friday evening, here in Lakeport at Soper Reese, the doors open at 6 and the show starts at 7. We're going to have the Big Lake Big Science mini science documentary, and we're really excited for this. There hasn't been a movie that's focused on Clear Lake and science ever, so this is really fabulous. And thank you so much, our videographer and editor extraordinaire, Sam Houston. This would not have been possible without him, and we're really grateful that he's here in county and can help put this on. And then thank you for the admin, County of Lake, your support for also being a producer of this. So thank you. We did a lot of media marketing. We actually had a goal of 120 posts in 120 days. We really wanted to saturate the social media market for this event and get as many people excited about it as possible. And so we're able to do that. We're on goal. And if anybody wants to follow us on social media, if you haven't already, our handles are here. Facebook at Clear Lake CA Science, Instagram, Clear Lake CA Science, and then also our X, or formerly Twitter handle. And we did market a lot of hashtags, again, to kind of spread the awareness of this event. And it's just really important that we have a presence on social media to get this event going. Here's an example of some of those posts that we've put out. So earlier it was just to kind of let people know about the science symposium, when it was going to be, the dates. And then as we got closer to the event over the last month, we've been doing specific sessions, call outs in our posts. So if we have, the landscape restoration projects, those will be talked about on Friday. We have an environmental permitting 101 session. There's, of course, a Clear Lake Hitch status and conservation. This is a double session that'll be on Friday from 2:30 to 5:30. And then, of course, our Clear Lake monitoring and modeling session. So we wanted to make sure we were calling out each of those particular sessions with their specific days and times throughout our media campaign. And if anybody wants information, again, please go to the website on our County of Lake website under Water Resources. We have a specific tab for the Clear Lake Integrated Science Symposium, and everything that you need is there. There's a lot of links that go off for, volunteer registration, or there's a registration on Eventbrite. We want to make sure that we're anticipating how many people will be there. But you can get all of those links and the schedule, the list of sponsors, all of that's available at this website. So my last two slides just go over the budgets and funding sources. Because this is a public held event, I want to be totally transparent with how it's being funded. So these are all of the major funding financial sponsors and supporters for this. And we do have support from the Watershed Protection District. And we have budgeted between 10 and 20,000 spread over 2 fiscal years for this. It's really hard to gauge exactly how much this event would cost, since we've never done it before and we didn't know exactly what it would entail. And I believe I came to the board before, I think in April, to talk about this, March or April, and you guys asked me how much it would cost, and I said, I don't know. Well, we have a little better idea now, but we wanted to make sure we budgeted enough through the district. And if you look at the bottom of the slide, I have listed the State Lands Commission Code and the legislative directives of the Watershed Protection District, Senate Bill 1136, that I think provide the rationale for why the Watershed Protection District should be doing this event, and why we can dedicate funds from the district for making it happen. I will also acknowledge that we got various small donations and contributions from companies and some individuals that totaled about $2,000 for this. So really excited and thankful for them to provide that support. So here is our budget so far. We had a spending goal of about 50,000 is what we were expecting we would spend. We right now currently with all our estimates about 45,000. So that's great. That leaves about a 5,000 buffer for unanticipated costs that might show up right before the event or during the event. And you guys can see some of the breakdown there for planning, food and drink and swag, which were of course some of the larger cost items. And I will note that some of the specific donations we got or the granted funds. So we have a repurposed water quality data grant that was put towards this event. And then we had a grant from the West Side Sacramento Integrated Regional Water Management Committee. And those grants came with specific purposes. So they were for food and drink receptions and breaks, or for swag items, like some of the donations were specifically for swag items. So that's how some of the funding for those items came about, and some of the requirements. And then here's the grant sources, which is just the graphic showing what I showed earlier. But what I wanted to really point out was that of the funding sources that we were able to get for this out of our what we spent so far, 83% of this event was spent outside of district funds, and I think that's great. So that's pretty much on par with when we do any grant project. You know, the grant pays for about 50 to 75% of what we do, and then we fund the rest with district funds. So this is right along those lines, like any other project we do. And so we have a little bit of local investment, and we can really maximize it with some of those outside funding sources. So thank you so much for your time today. And again, I just want to thank all of our sponsors that made this event possible. And we're really excited to have them there in person and see them next week. The website is on the top of the screen there, our hashtag, and then our social media handle there at Clear Lake CA Science. Please follow us. And thank you so much, Lake County and the board for supporting this. Thank you, especially District 4, Michael Green, for putting in a big chunk of money early on. We really appreciate that. So with that, I can take any questions, and thank you so much for the time today.
Any questions? Supervisor Pyska.
Angela, we're also excited about this. We've been looking forward to this for a long, long time. So I really appreciate all the work that the department's put into this. And what a great event for our new director to attend and meet so many of our stakeholders. I have a couple questions. How is attendance coming on Eventbrite?
Thank you for that question, Supervisor Pyska. Yeah, so Eventbrite, the way you can sign up is for each day, for the day activities, and then you can sign up for the evening activities also separately. And then we also have digital binder options, so actual physical printouts for sale. And we have, so far, the last time I checked, about 124 to 130 for events out of the 200 limit capacity at Robinson Rancheria. So we're really excited. That's right on par. We're expecting a push towards closer towards the event. And yeah, so we're excited about those numbers. If I get 200 people in chairs during this event, I will be a happy camper. I'm really excited.
Yeah. Oh, that's great. Looks like we're on track. And then the next question is about the resources that'll be available. We all the time get questions from our constituents about, what's going on at the lake. It's always a really broad question. And how will we be able to point them to some of the resources and research that comes out of the symposium?
Yeah, that's also a really great question. So part of this symposium was to not just have everything in one place and present it at one moment in time, and not just to capture it in like a dusty binder that would sit on the shelf and nobody see it, but we're creating what's called a digital binder. So that is copies of all the presentations, the abstracts, the biographies of the speakers, their websites where you can get their data, where you can learn about their projects. All of that will be together on this website. So we'll keep the Integrated Science Symposium website. We also will be, as much as connectivity allows, we're going to be having remote access for the symposium via Zoom webinars. And I believe there'll be some live streaming. That area does have some connectivity issues, so we're not guaranteeing it 100% of the time. But we definitely are going to be recording all of the sessions. And then those will be also provided in little snippets for somebody to be able to preview now and going into the future. And again, thanks to Sam Houston for committing to be able to do that. So he's in charge of the tech for this and making sure that we get those recordings, and they'll be available on the Water Resource Department YouTube, and then we can highlight them as we go on in the future for specific issues that arise, like in lake management or hitch conservation. So hopefully those will be able to help you when you're responding to constituents that have specific concerns about the lake or the watershed. Great. And if there's something specific that you guys need that people ask for, let me know so we can build it in, because I want to make sure that we're producing the right materials that can communicate the science and the research to the public. So I totally acknowledge we might forget something. And so if there's anything specific that you would like, let us know.
Great. Thank you so much.
Any other comments from the board? Supervisor Green.
Yeah, thank you, Angela, for the great presentation. It's great to hear the excitement in your voice. This is a very exciting event. Dr. Opadaway, I'm very excited that you're here. I know a big draw for you in coming here was just the amount of natural resources here and the many challenges that come with it. I'm excited for you, and I do want to point out that in the midst of all this planning, Water Resources, our staff have gone through a change, reorganization, a new department head, ongoing staff challenges. So the work is certainly there, and in the midst of all this change, Angela, to see this project come forward and come together, super excited. I did go on Eventbrite, and I volunteered, so I want you to put me to work on that Thursday and Friday. I don't care if I'm running swag bags. I want to help if I can. And if you still have a call for volunteers and you need some additional help, I hope people listening to this will throw down. But even if you aren't volunteering, even if you aren't a scientist, I think you're going to find a lot of good information here. So let's pack the seats. Let's have a really good event. I don't know what I don't know about this lake, but I'm going back to the fact that it's been 25 years since the last big event here, and I've had a deep dive for various reasons into about 50 years of watershed district history. So we were talking about algae 50 years ago, we're talking about algae today, and many other things like Clear Lake Hitch. So to see this come together in such a beautiful way, it just makes me very proud of our Water Resources Department and staff, and I think I'm going to be very excited to see what the scientists bring to this.
All right, Supervisor Simon.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Dr. Opadaway and Angela, for bringing this. The one question I have is, because we're talking about the most maximum, viewing of this stuff. So since I think she said Sam created the movie that's going to be done, Sam, was that right, Angela, or no?
Yes, that is right. So we have outside of the scientific symposium, we wanted to create something that was a little more like on the entertainment but accessible side, that kind of did a snapshot of what's going on in Clear Lake and some of the issues. And what we really wanted to do was to produce something that said, Clear Lake is unique. Clear Lake is not like any other lake, and we want people to come here and study it, and we want to do the management that's needed, and this is a really great place to do that work, and also express our love for Clear Lake. So it's kind of like a love letter to Clear Lake, this movie is. I've kind of been saying that all along, and also kind of a call for scientists and researchers to come to our lake. It's a unique system. It's novel. You're not going to see it anywhere else, and there's a community here that really depends on their lake and are invested in the science and the research that's needed and the action to make Clear Lake the best lake that she can be. So that is kind of what the film is about. And we're, excited to have a lot of the interviewees and participants in this film. We couldn't fit it all in like a 45-minute film, but we have all of those interviews and ideas and perspectives that we'll have that we can use for then future products. And again, just really indebted to admin for being able to produce this with us, and Sam for being able to film it and organize logistics. And I hope that answered your question.
Yep, answered my question
Supervisor
perfectly.
Simon.
And my thoughts were, if we could work with PEG TV to get this. We're always looking for an educational opportunity. Maybe those discussions have already happened, but getting it on there to really run this, all the time, as we continue to do that. So that's great to hear that the discussions are going to happen. So Yeah, I think this is a great program and opportunity to get out there.
There's a collaborative, excuse me, there's a collaborative between PEG and the county. PEG will be there on the 16th.
I think the sessions and the talks would be recorded and made available for later viewing.
All right. Open it up for the public. Is there anyone from the public that would like to come up and speak about the item on the agenda?
Good morning. Good morning. Let me get to the mic.
All right.
Still creaks. But anyway, I'm Tom Slate, and I really wasn't prepared for this. I just found out about all this recently. I'm not involved in social media. I'm on the computer all the time online, but I didn't know, so I'll just put together what I have. And this is my perspective. Issues that I think may not come out of these, and I think this is all good intentions. I'm sincere about that. But I think there may be some information that won't be included. And again, this is my stream of consciousness presentation here, but it seems to me, after 22 years, for me, it is quite obvious that there are major aerosol spray operations taking place over Lake County. I could be wrong, of course. I don't think so. And back then, when some of us were questioning this, we were told nothing's going on. Well, a major body of people who have the credentials to do the research have come out with major amounts of information to be considered. And that I think is not going to be brought up by this at all. And so I brought a few things to hand out, which I expect, because you people, it seems to me, are kind of in a spot, right? If there's reality to this, where does this put you? Well, I think you people have, especially Mocha, I know you a little bit, I think you have a conscience. I'm sure you do. And probably the rest of you too. When you look at this, and there's some legitimate information here to be considered. And I made 20 presentations to the Board of Supervisors between 2006 and 2012, right here in this room. And I have all that on a 93-minute DVD. You can see what went on there. So this is nothing new. And I don't have the particular date, but I made a DVD, a 20-minute DVD of video clips from 2002 and 2003, taken in Lake County. And only 20 minutes, you can take a look at it, what was going on in our sky back then. Draw your own conclusions. A colleague of mine, Dayton Wigington, has a website. I'm not done yet, but thank you. This booklet, he sent me a box of these quite a while back. He has a website, geoengineeringwatch.org, that you can check out. Check out this book, draw your own conclusions, but there is major amounts of information that I think needs to be considered that is probably not going to be involved in any of this. Again, I don't doubt the good intentions, because we're always told, don't look over there, don't look at this, just look over here. And I'll see if I have anything else. But, and what my goal is to show, from my perspective, that it is, that whatever it is going on. Other people with science backgrounds put up what they are finding, to, as far as we can tell, what it is. That's not my role, and has never been my role. And as far as I think I said that the survey, I didn't know anything about this until about a week ago. And so what I will give you is copies of this book. Each one has a copy of that 20-minute DVD in it. I'm disclosing this information to you. My video is called White Haze and Jet Trails. In fact,
We're going to have to wrap up your comments, Mr. Slate.
Pardon me?
You had your 3 minutes. You have to wrap up your comments, please.
Okay.
On something.
Yeah, no, that's fine. They showed my video on the PEG channel about 20 or 30 times.
All right. Well,
2010, but
we'll take the video and we'll go from there. And
I expect you to ignore it, and I'm not being disrespectful. That's kind of how it works.
well, if you could show up too at this and explain and contribute to it, that'd be great. And we'll get the video. Is there 6 of them, or do you just have one?
Oh no, I have plenty.
Perfect. So I'll have.
I have one for each of you, and one for this gentleman.
All right. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. 2, 5.
Is there anyone else that would like to speak on this, either in the chambers or on Zoom?
Betsy Kahn.
All right.
Well, here's 8. Take that.
All right.
Thank you, and I am sincere when I say thank you. You know that.
Thank you, Tom. All right.
I'll just leave it here.
All right, Betsy, go ahead.
Good morning, Board. Betsy Kahn for the Central Public Information Center. I have been involved in the U.S. EPA non-point National Pollution Discharge Elimination System permitting programs for the state of California and the county of Lake for 24 years. I have been a member of the public involved in the Clean Water Program for its entire existence, and I have been very, very delighted to have Angela De Palma Dow as a special guest on my radio program on KPFZ every month for the last 2 or 3 years. She provides us with an update on all the water programs, all of the grant projects, the Blue Ribbon Committee, and so forth. This is a tremendous achievement for the County of Lake, and I just wanted to let you know that this is received very well by the public. We cannot thank you all enough for sponsoring this. It's a real feather in your cap to have this done, and we so appreciate the work done by the Water Resources Department. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Thank you, Betsy. Is there any other hands? Donna Makowitz, go ahead. You have your 3 minutes.
Good morning, Board. Donna Makowitz, Red Bed Audubon. I am super excited to be involved in this science symposium. Angela and Janine, the whole group have done an amazing job. And I'd like everyone to know it's not just for the scientists. The average person is just going to be amazed at all the information that's going to be presented. And there's so many fantastic programs, it's going to be hard to decide which session you'd like to go to. So I hope everyone will come on out, and it's just going to be totally the best thing of the year. Thank you.
Thank you, Donna. We'll see you there. Anyone else on Zoom?
Yeah, so I would like to appreciate the support which we have received from the Board of Supervisors and also the Water Resources staff. It seems it's long-term in making, but it does took a substantial effort from the staff. So I would like to thank everyone. Yeah.
All right, thank you, Doctor. Any other? I didn't even close public input, so no hands came up or anything. All right, so I'll bring it back to the board, and Supervisor Green, go ahead.
Just very briefly, just because it was brought up, one reason I'm excited about this science symposium is it's science. This is not the first reference I've heard today about geoengineering. I heard a clerk get grilled about geoengineering at a recent city council meeting here in Lakeport. It's upsetting to me when people who apply their lives and their education to pure science and applied science here within our watershed. And when people come up with their own versions of science and other things that they think should be reviewed during our development of policies to benefit Clear Lake. So everyone is free to have an opinion, but one reason I value this scientific conference is we're going to get the experts in the room and we're going to do some real science. And that's another reason I'm very excited about this. We need to be able to counter scientific misinformation in this day and age just as effectively as we need to advocate for true science. Thank you.
Thank you. If there's no other closing remarks, I will close out with saying that I hope to see everybody at this, or as many people as possible at this fully packed event both days. It goes into the evening both days. And I get a lot of folks that have questions about the lake that I try to answer. Of course, I'm not a professional, and I have to depend on the professionals in our Water Resources Department and other folks that come along and give that input. So this is a place where they can get that. So I've been sending this to some folks here and there who've been trying to go. I'm glad it's pushed out there so we can get some more knowledge and know how better to understand our lake and whatnot, I guess we could say there. So with that, I guess there's no other comments. We'll close this item out and move on to the 10 o'clock, which I see it's going to be continued, right? But I'll still read it out as we are obligated to do so.
Yes, Mr. Chair. So for this item, since it is the consideration for the first reading of the ordinance, the suggestion here would be to open up an item with the recommended action of a motion to continue it at that specific date and time for the board with public comment any public comment as to the proposed continuation.
Okay, thank you. All right, so I'll go ahead and read item 6.6, public hearing. Consideration of ordinance for the County of Lake unincorporated and county-owned and leased properties governed by the Board of Supervisors to regulate smoking, and tobacco use. And the hearing is to be continued to August 27, 2024 at 9:15, but I'll go ahead and open it up so we can either make that action or anything else that's needed in that, so. Should we open up the public first before?
Yeah, just as with any other item, if your board wants to discuss the continuation and then subsequently any public comment, and then bringing it back for board action.
Any discussion before I open to public input? Nope. I'll open it up to the public. If there's anyone that would like to speak on this item that came and intending to be here for 6.6. All right, sir, go ahead.
Thank you so much. Greg Dameron from Blue Zones Project. At our steering committee meeting on Thursday, we had a little update from Lars Ewing on his weighing into that, and I was really thrilled with his report out that details were being dug into. Really appreciate that, and just wanted to continue encouraging that effort. I was at a state park in the foothills this last week, and there was a long list of things you couldn't do at the river, including use of glass materials, alcohol, and other things. And I just wanted to say that we have rules. We're a populated state in California, so we have a lot of state resources and we have a lot of public spaces. And there's rules that go with that. And so just want to bless and encourage and normalize rules that benefit all of us, our safety, the safety of our children, and the health of our community. So stay with it. I know it's a long and arduous process. I appreciate the staff and all their investment in that, but we applaud and we'll be here to applaud when it's finalized. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comments? Is there any on Zoom? Oh, I see someone coming up, so. And you know this item will be continued.
Yeah.
But go ahead.
Yeah, so my name's Liberty Francis, Lake County Public Health Tobacco Project Director. And I just want to thank you all for the time and effort, and just give you an update that we did meet with all the directors, and we're currently taking their input to revise that ordinance to bring back to you on the 27th.
Thank you. Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, none on Zoom? All right, so I'll bring it back to the board for action to move this forward.
Move to continue this item to August 27th, 2024 at 9:15 a.m.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And so we are at 10:12. So we'll go ahead and take a 5-minute break and then come back. I'll just say we'll come back at 10:20. We'll take like an 8-minute break. We'll say 5 minutes. And, I'll start at 10:20. All right. Yes, I am. We are getting ready here, so if we can all come on back and see if we can move forward with our consent agenda items that were pulled. I have 3 here, so can I start? I'll go ahead and just read them off. I'm sure they'll be shortly here. So we'll start with, we'll go backwards and we'll do 5.19, approve Lake County Sheriff's Annual Military Equipment Report. This was pulled. I'll give it to you, Lloyd.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So it is pulled just for purposes of clarification on the memorandum itself. It provided some recommendations for your board's consideration. The suggestion here is for purposes of your board action, that it is recommended that the motion would be to approve the report in accordance with Government Code Section 7072 and Lake County Ordinance Number 3123. And that's the only point of clarification as to why this item was pulled for your board's consideration.
All right. So so that one was pulled for those reasons. Is there anything else anyone else wants to add? All right. Sorry, I just started. Okay, so with that, I'll open up to the public. I see the sheriff's here. Did you have anything to add, or?
No, we had no problems with him.
All right. I don't see any. Is there any hands in Zoom, Johanna? No? All right, so we'll bring it back to the board or action.
Just super quick question for county council then. I don't see the ordinance proposed for renewal in the packet. So is this a twofer where you receive the report and then also take a vote to renew the ordinance? Was this an urgency ordinance?
So and that's part of the clarification, because it's not the renewal of the ordinance. It's the approval of the report was done pursuant to the ordinance. And the ordinance is actually is included in the report packet itself as part of the agenda item, starting on page 4 of that PDF document. It was made a part of that attachment titled AB 481 Annual Report Fiscal Year FY 23.24.
So the form of the motion would be, we shall either disapprove or renew its authorization for that type of military equipment.
Right, so the clarification would be, the motion would be to approve the report in accordance with Government Code Section 7072 and Lake County Ordinance Number 3123.
Cross out the recommendation.
I don't understand. You're saying that ordinance is the renewal of the authorization?
Correct. Under section,
it should be a reso. I don't think we're continuing, we're not renewing an evergreen ordinance. It's not, the ordinance I'm seeing is not coming back to the board for renewal year to year. It does talk about renewal of an authorization, which I assume could be a reso or some other type of thing.
it could be done by motion. It's done pursuant to section 2-207.1 and .2 of the ordinance. It's really in Lake County, it's codified in Lake County Code chapter or section 2-207.
I'm looking at .3 on the next page, page 4. During the annual review, we approve a renewal of the authorization.
All right.
So on 2-207.2, it's of that ordinance stated that the Lake County Sheriff's Office shall submit an annual military equipment use report to the Board of Supervisors containing the information required by Government Code Section 7072. And that code section may be amended from time to time, and the Board of Supervisors shall determine whether each type of military equipment identified in that report has complied with the standards for approval set forth in section 2-206.1 in that ordinance here and above, and Government Code Section 7072. So this item is presented to your board for approval pursuant to that specific section in the ordinance.
All right. Is there anything you would like to end with, Supervisor Green?
I just think the form of the motion is, I don't think we're technically renewing the ordinance. I think we are renewing the authorization that the ordinance references, but maybe that's just semantics.
All right.
And so to make that clarification, your board may move to approve the report itself just in accordance with that Government Code Section 7072 and that ordinance, done pursuant to that ordinance, ordinance number 3123.
So moved.
Yeah, I opened it.
Second.
So I have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. I will now move on to 5.12. Or is that, did you say that one? Yes, and so we'll go to 5.12, approve amendment number 1 to the agreement between Lake County, or County of Lake, and Hilltop Recovery Services for substance use disorder treatment services in the amount of $561,703.77 for fiscal year 2023-24, and authorize the board chair to sign.
And I apologize, Chair, there's no problems within 5.12. The compensation portion that needed to be changed is later on in the document, just not at the front of the document. So I apologize for pulling this item.
Just for clarification on the last item, I just want to make sure. Mine says 3123, and you said, did you say 3132? I just want to make sure we have that. I apologize for asking that question, but am I reading it wrong? I know it might have just been a wordsmith, but I thought I heard you say 3132.
Yeah, it should be 3123. If I mentioned the other one, I misspoke.
I don't know if it
Apologize.
was, if you guys heard the same thing. Okay, perfect. That one, I must have heard it wrong. I just wanted to clarify and make sure we got it passed.
All right.
Thank you.
All right. Okay. Let's see. So we were at opening it to public comment. Is there anybody on Zoom? No? Okay. Bring it back to the board for action. This is for item 5.12.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 1 from 5.12.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And we will now move to 5.8.
There was a part of that motion to authorize the chair to sign. I don't know if we need to expressly include that.
Yes, that could be in a second motion.
Okay.
Move to authorize the board chair to sign amendment number 1 as just approved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. We'll close that one and move on to 5.8. Approve second reading of ordinance amending Article 5 of Chapter 3 of the Lake County Code relating to commercial weighing and measuring device registration program. And this was, go ahead. Lloyd, go ahead.
For this, also as a clarifying point, for purposes of the second reading of the ordinance, under the recommended action for your board, it would be just for your board to offer the ordinance, and typically, based on past practice, once the title of the ordinance would be read, just in title, for purposes of this offer.
Any comments? I'll open it up to the public for item 5.8. No one on Zoom? All right, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
As stated by County Council, so moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. Oh yeah.
So
offered.
Yes.
All right.
Supervisor Simon?
Yes.
Supervisor Sabatier?
Aye.
Supervisor Green?
Aye.
Supervisor Pyska?
Yes.
And Supervisor Crandall?
Aye.
And then I'll read it. It's an ordinance amending Article 5 of Chapter 3 of the Lake County Code relating to commercial weighing and measuring device registration program.
All right. That closes 5.8. And so we can now move on to our 10:30 on our timed items, which is public hearing. 6.7, public hearing, consideration of comprehensive retailer licensing, tobacco ordinance, TRL, and code of ordinance, and efforts to address the continual decline of Lake County's health rankings and the high rates of youth tobacco use. And Health Services Director Anthony Arden and Project Director Tobacco Education and Prevention Project Director Liberty Francis.
Thank you.
Thank you.
It's on, no. So I won't be able to, it's in my drive for the county. Yeah. Well.
Yeah.
You need a couple minutes?
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Maybe we could take another short break? Or did you have something you can talk about? Okay, so we need a couple minutes then. All right, we'll take another 5 minutes, and then we'll come back at 10:35. Well, we'll say 10:40. We'll just say 10:40. I'm going to say 10. All right.
So you're doing your like prep.
Looks like we have everything we need, so we'll come back to order here. And I will go ahead and give the floor to Director Arton so he can give the floor to Liberty Francis. All right.
Good morning, and thank you for having us back again today. I am Liberty Francis from the Lake County Public Health Department, Tobacco Education and Prevention, and I am the project director. We are here today to present the tobacco retail license that your board requested for us to develop a draft for. So I just have a little presentation before we move forward. So first of all, Lake County continues to have one of the highest smoking rates in the state of California. At times it has been more than double the state rate. 90% of smokers report that they started using tobacco products before even age 18. Our current law in the state of California is 21 years of age or older. Despite the efforts to limit youth access to tobacco, youth are still able to access these tobacco products. And here we have two different surveys. Some are Lake County students reported as part of the Healthy Kids survey. 65% of 11th graders said that it's easy to access tobacco products on their own. 60% of ninth graders said it's easy to access, and 40% of 7th graders said it was easy to access tobacco products living here in Lake County. So that shows how it compares to our state rates, which are much lower. In 2018, tobacco youth purchase results from the state decoy operations, the tobacco retailers that were observed during that time, 100% of them failed and sold to youth during that inspection. This shows that all of our tobacco control programs that are funded by Prop 56 and 99 throughout the state are tasked with doing what's considered a youth purchase survey. So it may not be a decoy operation for law enforcement purposes, but it is for data. And this reflects us in the North Coast region, and 27% of tobacco retailers were selling to minors. And as you look at this state of California map, our North Coast and Tri-County South are between 22.6 and 25% of violation rate, and the only area which is higher is Los Angeles County. Okay, so tobacco use harms over electronic smoking devices. These devices have become highly addictive. They interfere with normal brain development of youth, create weaker immune systems, inflammation and irritation of the airways, destruction of the alveoli in the lungs. It actually explodes inside their lungs, which they would have to have surgically removed. It does not repair itself. Increased risk of blood clotting, stiffening of the blood vessels, increased acid reflux, and it exacerbates mental health issues, especially anxiety and depression. So we surveyed in two different surveys throughout Lake County recently of residents that live in our county about tobacco-related issues. 93% of those folks believed that flavored tobacco products are harmful to youth. 95% believe that it's important for communities to address and prevent youth from using tobacco products. 84% said they would be in support of local policy or law that prohibits the sale and distribution of all flavored products and designate a portion of this annual license for enforcement. 84% believe that their community has been negatively impacted by smoking, vaping, and other tobacco uses. Studies found when policies are adopted to include enforcement and penalties, the youth sales are reduced. One of our neighboring counties, Sonoma County, prior to their TRL's tobacco retail license being established, they had a very high failure rate for their youth purchases as well. I believe it was around 18%. And once those municipalities started addressing tobacco retail licenses and putting those into place, their youth rates for sale dropped to 1.8%. This graphic here was developed by Stanford Medicine, and it shows the nicotine levels in the different tobacco products. So as you see, one pack of cigarettes contains 22 milligrams of nicotine. And as you go up the line to the different products that have been developed over the last few years, the nicotine amount in those products are increasing to very unsafe levels of nicotine, especially when used by a young adult or child. So one of the popular ones that we are seeing in the schools is the Flume, which is 400 milligrams of nicotine, and then the Elf Bar, 650 milligrams of nicotine, and they actually have a Geek Bar now on sale that has been found here in our county that is even more than that. So what we're being told by tobacco users is that these products, if they're a heavy vapor, they're going through these products in 3 days, 4 days. So if you consider that Elf Bar being the equivalent of 590 cigarettes, they're going through that in 2 to 3 days. So we have lots of California tobacco laws currently. As I said before, that they are 21 years and older. They have they are tasked with IDing anyone who looks under the age of 27 years old. And that they also have decoys. If they ask their real age, they have to do so. There's inspections that happen. But as I stated before, Lake County has not been inspected by any state regulatory agency since 2018. Other Tobacco Stake Act laws, they're currently not allowed to sell flavored tobacco products, but that SB 793 that was on a ballot measure and approved in the state of California did not have a way to enforce that law, and they gave the authority to local jurisdictions to enforce that. Through our observations here in Lake County, we know that there are tobacco retailers that still are selling flavored products, and we also know that there are retailers that are not state licensed to sell tobacco products, but they are selling tobacco products. So this is one of the signs that is mandated at every register. It is the Stake Act sign. It has to be updated periodically. So if a retailer has a old sticker at their register, then they are automatically out of compliance. This has to be at every register. So what would our implementation process look like? In June, our health department applied for a Department of Justice grant for implementation, retailer education, and enforcement. They should be giving out award letters in October. Presentations to community members, stakeholders regarding the benefits of a tobacco retail license and what this specific ordinance would look like. So we've been in the community doing presentations to our county partners. Thank you. And then if this ordinance is passed, then our department will be bringing a resolution to the Board of Supervisors to establish the tobacco retail license fee. And then we will post a position for environmental health technician who will assist us with issuing the licenses and help with compliance. Let me go back just a minute for the Department of Justice grant. We did receive letters of support from our local law enforcement chiefs for Clear Lake, Lakeport, and the Sheriff's Department. So those were all included that they intend to partner with that Department of Justice grant. Then going back to our October-November deadline, our implementation plan, we're looking to train the staff, law enforcement, and community partners about the ordinance. And then November, December, we're going to educate retailers explaining the retail license application process, procedures, fees outlined in the ordinance. And then in the ordinance, we looked at January 1 of 2025 being when the ordinance would be in effect. We would complete initial site visits to help those retailers get into compliance before their licenses are issued, and then, of course, issuing licenses. As far as the implementation and education, that will be an ongoing effort that will continue because we know it may take a little bit of time to get our retailers up to speed where they need to be. Recently, when speaking with some of our retailers that sell tobacco products, they have expressed that sometimes the tobacco companies will come in and tell them, well, that we have this new product. And so we will build that relationship with those tobacco retailers where they understand what is and is not approved to sell under this and the state regulations. So enforcement, this enforcement plan was developed with all three of our local jurisdictions, and they felt that it was important to have a strong enforcement plan. And upon finding the department's first violation at a location, the license will be suspended for 30 days, and the retailer will have $1,000 fine. Upon finding this second violation at this location within a 60-month period, they will have a 90-day suspension of their tobacco retail license, and they'll pay a $2,500 fine. A third violation in a 60-month period will be a 120-day suspension and a $5,000 fine. Upon finding 4 or more violations within a single location, within 60 months, their license will be revoked and no new license shall be issued to that licensee until 5 years have passed from the date of revocation. After the first violation, at a location where someone is selling tobacco products without even a state license or a local license, they will be issued a $5,000 fine, and they will not have the opportunity to have a license in our community. So as I mentioned previously, we met extensively with the city of Clear Lake, the city of Lakeport, as well as, at the time, Chair Sabatier. And we looked at this as a county project. And knowing that each jurisdiction has the opportunity to pass an ordinance like this, they were in favor of passing this policy in all 3 jurisdictions. We have yet to make the presentation to the entire board in Lakeport, but we have made a presentation in the city of Clear Lake, and we had consensus to move forward with this exact policy. In the event that this board passes for the unincorporated areas of Lake County, City of Clear Lake passed their ordinance and City of Lakeport passed their ordinance, those two jurisdictions would give over the right to Lake County Health Services to implement this policy as far as issuing the licenses and handle enforcement. So we are in belief that when this policy addresses the entire county, it will improve our rates of youth smoking and tobacco purchasing that's happening. And we also believe that partnership between all three jurisdictions and all three law enforcement agencies, that we will have a united front, that we're going to make a stand and not allow youth purchasing of tobacco products in our community.
All right. Is there any questions or? Supervisor Green.
Thank you. First off, all these following comments are meant in a supportive way. Generally supportive of the measure, but the devil is in the details, and there are some details in this ordinance. One, thank you for clarifying that the eventual goal is to have a countywide ordinance, but as it's phrased right now, it's not super clear whether this ordinance is intended to apply in the unincorporated areas of the county or countywide. I see references on Section 2, Sub A, that does not include the word unincorporated. That would seem to imply that a countywide ordinance is intended. Also on Section 14, A1, the last sentence says notification of this violation will be sent to the jurisdiction in which the retailer was selling without a license. So it sounds like from your description, there's general buy-in from the cities that they would allow county enforcement, but it is not clearly worded here that that is the ultimate goal, and no, is there any provision in here that would allow, direct anyway, the Health Services Department to partner with cities in implementation of their ordinances should they pass one. So that's kind of the most substantive issue I'm going to raise right here. I did speak with County Counsel and Director Arton about some, I'll call them housekeeping items, just for sake of clarity. This is a big ordinance. It's kind of a landmark thing, but ordinances kind of get passed and then they get filed away. Where it actually lives is in the Lake County Code online, and so if you have a top to bottom ordinance that reads cleanly on that code, so I think there is some ability here to add a purpose section and an authority section to the top of the ordinance where the definitions are. And we follow that same format with our micro enterprise home kitchen ordinance. I just think it's a cleaner way to do that. Because people are going to be looking at this online and they're going to say, what is this all about and who does this apply to? So clarification about the cooperation with the cities is needed. I believe I spoke with the county council. There are a couple chapter references in here that probably still need to be changed to articles. Those would appear in section 16 and 17. So just to be clear that the references are going to be the article. And last thing is, where is this going to live? As currently proposed, it'd be under Chapter 9 of the Code under Health and Sanitation. We also have a Chapter 11 pertaining to business licenses that I might propose as a slightly better fit. But long story short, again, supportive. I think there's a substantive problem with this as presented today in terms of the interplay with the cities. I do think there are some chapter references that need to get revised, and I do think there is the ability to do some housekeeping at the top of the ordinance and figure out where this is going to live in the code so that when we do pass this puppy, it's super crystal clear what the intent of this is. And stuff like that. At the end of the day, I think those various issues are going to make it difficult to get through a first reading today. So I think what I'd be seeking is board consensus to give direction to staff to clean up those housekeeping items as needed and bring it back to a later date for a first reading.
If I may, the reason that the decision went into the health and safety code is because it's going to be very similar to a food permit, a CUPA permit for hazmat waste, and it's going to be run through the environmental health department. And so it's my understanding also that the county unincorporated does not currently issue business licenses, and this is very different than a business license.
So I think that addresses your concern with that one, and then I want to address the
Microphone.
I want to address the concern about the city enforcement aspect of it.
There you go.
Oh, doesn't it? It's not on?
There you go.
Oh, okay.
It's on now.
Even closer. Sorry, usually my voice carries. So the cities, when they get to the point of where they're passing their resolutions or ordinances, they would have to write into their own ordinances to defer to the county for the jurisdiction. So we've already kind of addressed that in our meeting with the city administrators there. So I don't think that's something that would live in our ordinance because it's something that would have to live with the city ordinances to defer to us for the jurisdiction for enforcement of penalties and fines. I hope that makes sense.
All right.
Did you have any thoughts on the purpose and authority sections at the top? Any opposition to that?
I don't have a strong feeling one way or another on that one. To me, that's just additional text to, I guess, address your concern, but I don't think that fundamentally alters the ordinance. I don't know. Lloyd, did you have some text or language prepared to add in case?
Yes, some suggested language, of course, it's for your board's consideration as to the purpose section, purpose and intent section, and then the authority sections. You have ordinances, code sections in our Lake County Code that, as Supervisor Green has pointed out, in that MKHC, MHKO, that code section does have a purpose and intent and authority section devoted to that chapter or article, and you also have code sections in the Lake County Code that do not have that. So staff does have some suggested language here for your board's consideration, and if your board approves that language, it would be and moves forward with the first reading of the ordinance. It would be the approval of the first reading as amended, incorporating those additional sections or subsections, as well as Supervisor Green referenced, some of the other housekeeping minor revisions that staff can walk the board through as part of the review for this ordinance.
And so just so we're clear, the purpose and scope section's not absolutely needed.
Correct. Your board may consider that, absolutely up to your board. And if your board wishes to have the purpose and intent section, as well as the authority section, staff has some suggested language for that.
Thank you, Lloyd. Supervisor Sabatier, you have your pen up?
I just think it's already there. As the findings, which are the reasons we have to take action, and it has the now therefore, which is our purpose. I just think it's there with different words. I don't want to change anything. I want to be able to move forward today.
Any other comments? We'll open it up to the public. If there's anyone in the public in the chambers that wants to come up and talk about this item on the agenda, 6.7, please come on up.
Don't be shy.
All right.
Good morning. I'm Becky Soledo. I'm the superintendent for Canocti Unified School District. Thank you for letting me speak this morning. This morning, I'm here not only for myself and my district, but all of the districts in Lake County. We were all here at the last meeting. Unfortunately, we're all starting school this week, and I am fortunate to have a little bit larger staff than the rest of the district, so I was able to kind of sneak away. We are all very united, as well as having our county superintendent with us. We live, I hate to say it, and breathe this problem every day at our schools and our districts. It is truly a crisis with our students. Every time I hear the data that Liberty presents so well, I kind of shudder a little bit inside, because I hate to be the one that says it, but the data, the collection of the data is great and strong. When you're talking with kids, sometimes they change their mind in formal settings and informal settings. And I'm going to tell you, the data that you've seen is frightening enough. The reality is it's stronger than that. I've spoken directly to high school students that when the Healthy Kids Survey came out and had a relatively lower number of percentage of kids who had or were currently vaping, my students looked at me unanimously, a bunch of them, and said, oh, no. It's closer to 95% of us that are actively using vapes and have them available. And that's not just my district. That's all 6 of us. We're all seeing it in our sites. A little scarier than that is it's not just high school. We're seeing it in our middle schools. We're seeing it in our elementary schools. I've seen, personally, have seen it down to first graders with vaping. It's a crisis. We're talking about tiny kiddos here that with this amount of use, in 10 years, it's going to be frightening, the medical situations that we're going to have on hand. So I'm here today to, again, speak for all of the districts in the county and truly encourage you to move forward with this. We know it isn't the solution, but we strongly believe that it is the first right start to help us get some momentum behind this crisis and protect our kids. So again, thank you for your time. And I for all of us who our life is supporting our students every day, both instructionally and in their well-being, we really encourage you to move forward with this, and we thank you so much for your paying attention to this and looking into it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right.
Brock Falkenberg, Lake County Superintendent of Schools. I asked Becky to present first because she can bring the emotion and the reality that is being experienced on our school sites across this county, as she works a little closer to that school site than I do. But I want to say I am not authorized to speak for all of the district superintendents across this county, but this is a subject that we speak about regularly. Our school sites are experiencing dilemmas, problems, struggles as a result of the growing influence of vaping products and tobacco products on our school campuses. So I encourage you to move forward with a ordinance. If we need to take the time to really clearly identify, out of respect for Supervisor Green's concerns, a meaningful, workable, long-term solution in an ordinance, I would support that. However, we need to move this forward as rapidly as possible, and as the County Superintendent of Schools, I support your efforts moving forward in this capacity. Thank you.
Thank you, Brock.
Hello, I'm Stephanie Perazzo. I work here in Lake County for the NorCal for Health project, and I'm here today to speak about the tobacco retail license. The North Coast region is a tobacco prevention leader in California, and your neighboring counties of Del Norte, Humboldt, and Mendocino all have tobacco retail licenses in their unincorporated areas, as well as some of their incorporated jurisdictions. Lake County can easily join this group and really set a precedent for the North Coast to have a comprehensive TRL that helps protect its communities. Tobacco retail policy is considered also best practice in public health circles and by the Centers for Disease Control. Important things to remember about the tobacco retail license, as far as retailers are concerned, that no tobacco retailers have gone out of business in Del Norte or Humboldt counties because of the implementation of the tobacco retail license. Also, rural convenience stores can increase profit margins and revenue without tobacco, without cigarettes, without flavored tobacco. Communities are all around us are adopting tobacco retail licensing laws as one way to combat the public health problems associated with tobacco use, reduce tobacco-related health disparities, and ensure compliance with tobacco laws. The TRL is a revenue-neutral way that local jurisdictions establish a structure to enforce federal, state, and local laws. We can have a say in what's happening in our communities, and a TRL will help protect our kids and our businesses without waiting for the state to come in and do something about it. So let's continue to find success in this region with a local tobacco retail license policy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh, good morning. Good morning, Chairman Crandall today.
Still Vice Chair, but
and
just filling in.
yeah, Vice Chair Crandall and fellow supervisors. For the record, my name is Joanne Saccato. I use the pronouns she, her, and I live on Cobb. In 2023, when I first came before this board on this topic, I was working for the NorCal for Health project. I hadn't smoked for 20 plus years after a 25-year habit that began at age 13. I found Lake County's adult and youth tobacco and nicotine use rates alarming and was equally astonished at how tobacco and nicotine companies were allowed to and were actively working to addict our children to some of the deadliest retail products in American history. We know the vast majority, as it was already spoken here, nearly 90% of our users begin before the age of 18, just like I did. Today, I come to you, of course, with that same personal history, but in a new position as the project coordinator for the California Health Collaborative's RISE project. We're a statewide rural coordinating center that supports projects like NorCal for Health and the county's tobacco prevention program, but we do so all throughout rural California. This broader view has helped me understand that Lake County's high use rates and subsequently poor health outcomes that are associated with those rates are not about Lake County. We haven't done anything wrong, per se, but rather it's about a concerted effort by tobacco and nicotine companies that target all rural communities. Through decades of aggressive and targeted marketing, advertising, and manipulative tactics, the industry remains a threat to our rural California communities and values. In fact, we should be furious that they have hijacked our rural way of life and our values and use those through their marketing strategies to addict us and our kids. So it's our policies or our lack of policies that have let these strategies persist. By adopting a youth-focused tobacco retail license ordinance like the one before you today, you'd not only begin to protect Lake County's young people, you may actually be helping young people throughout rural California by strengthening a model. Both of these things are a legacy that we can be proud of. And while it's helpful for surrounding jurisdictions to be in parity so that we lift everyone up equally, you shouldn't let that deter you from considering stronger protections in future iterations of this ordinance. There are other valuable options that communities do include in their prevention toolkits that further protect youth, such as minimum pack size and pricing and retail sales distancing from schools and other youth-friendly areas. This is a matter of dignity and respect for Lake County children and families. To close, I want to thank the board for taking this issue seriously and working diligently with the cities to boldly lead us away from F's towards A's in tobacco and nicotine use prevention. It's a great start, and our children and families deserve it. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any other public comment? All right.
Hi, sorry about that. Greg Dameron, Blue Zones Project. I'm going to share 5 personal experiences in 3 minutes, or whatever I have. Number 1, I lost both of my grandparents who were World War II vets, one fighting for the UK and one for the US, due to premature deaths to smoking. My father's father fought in the Pacific, in the Navy, and he died at 63. Basically, emphysema ate away the lining of his throat, and that didn't kill him. He died from hiccuping for 6 months straight, nonstop, and then heart failure, and he smoked to his dying day because he was addicted to nicotine from a young age. The second experience, my son, who just turned 21 a couple of months ago, did undercover youth purchase surveys for about 2 years. In County of Sonoma, all jurisdictions, City of Willits, and unincorporated Humboldt County and Arcadia and McKinleyville, he was sold to 105 times. That was showing his true California ID. And in many cases, he was patted on the back, people joked, they laughed, and they handed him the tobacco products. In some cases, he bought over $100 worth of vapes, and it was just, you know, my son is not a very good actor, but I guess his insecurity doing that and making that ask was convincing. So that's the second experience. The third one was County of Sonoma was mentioned. I was the code enforcement designee for County of Sonoma after they passed their tobacco retail license ordinance in unincorporated. And then in Windsor, I ran the enforcement of that, and I can attest to lower sales rates and compliance when there were tobacco retail license ordinances compared to not. It was marked, it was amazing, and honestly, I became very popular with retailers. They welcomed me in, they asked me to come back behind the counters. Distributors really manage a lot of the inventory. It's kind of a plug and play. They oftentimes shop owners just sit there and distributors handle all of that. By having a county designee, an expert, they can ask questions. Many of them want to comply. I'm not saying all are good actors, but a TRL is a tool to provide key service that the state isn't and the federal government isn't, and it's a confusing arena. So that's why we need local support. Where are we? Number 5. So I think we're on 5. Fine, if we're not. 8 seconds.
I lost count too.
I've talked to dozens of youth here, and what Becky has shared, what Liberty has shared, same story. And we've been part of hundreds of community presentations, not hundreds, but hundreds of people have been engaged. Their support, please pass it. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, any other public comment in the room? If not, on Zoom? None on Zoom, bringing it back to the board. Supervisor Sabatier or Chair Sabatier, just real quick, I didn't say this at the beginning and I should have. Taking over today because Supervisor Sabatier, as you could tell, has a hard time with his voice. He's coughing, and so he had a coughing attack, and now his voice is not as well as it normally is. So I filled in for him.
And that's good for everybody. I just want to ask County Council, do we need to have an implementation date in the TRL ordinance of January 1st, 2025? I didn't see that in there.
It's in section 3.
Is it in there?
It is.
Okay, I appreciate that. I didn't, and I apologize for missing that. I know that Ms. Sakato mentioned future potential. Two things. One, I would love to get an annual review whenever it's appropriate for you to do an annual review. Maybe it's during budget when you're talking to us. Maybe it's during our workshop when you're talking to us. But just to see what the impacts of the ordinance are, it would be good to continue to check in. And then a future amendment is one that I think is a missing component, but I don't want to stall what we have today. Online sales are part of our problem, and there are tools out there to negate online sales of tobacco products, which would benefit our local economy and our local retailers by forcing people through there. And we have control over the selling of those products to the youth through our TRL. So that's something that I hope we can bring back in the future to ensure continuity of working towards reducing youth access to tobacco products. And I'm ready to pass this as soon as possible.
Liberty? Go ahead.
In section 2, it states on-site sales.
Yeah.
It does say that it needs to be done in person, so that does prevent a tobacco retailer to allowing somebody to come into their establishment and order it online. It has to be purchased on site.
But it will never stop UPS from delivering something to your property, and that's what I'm talking about.
Thank you.
So a future amendment at one point is what I would like to see.
And part of my plan, when this gets implemented, is to have this a part of our annual report, which will be a large document, which when that is finished in June or July of upcoming years, will include the TRL data. So I'd like to have that And we are in the process of starting to collect more data on a lot of our programs.
Oh, and I'm sorry, lastly, I just want to thank the staff that have been working on this. It's not just staff, it's so many different agencies. Thank you for your patience. This has been a conversation since 2020. And I don't mean to be rude to us as a board, but I feel that since 2018, we know 100% of those that did a decoy operation failed. I feel that the lack of action from this board has been a failure to our youth to take care of this problem. And today's a great day that we're making that change finally. And so thank you for your patience. Thank you for continuing to work with us. And I'm looking forward to the changes that we're going to make with this.
Supervisor Pyska? And then I'll...
I'm also really grateful that we have this in front of us today, and I know it was a long haul. And again, thank you for keeping this going, Liberty, and for all of you community partners for also doing this heavy lift. I have a high schooler, and I have someone going into middle school. And the conversations over the last weekend in my house about prepping for school, I'll just share. My high schooler was telling my younger son, hey, don't go in the bathrooms ever at school, ever. Just hold it all day, because there's always vaping in the bathrooms, and you just don't want to be a part of it, because we're having conversations about being around people that are making choices that you don't want to make, and how do you keep yourself safe, and how do you avoid being guilty by association, and how do you avoid being complicit, and what does complicit mean? And those are the conversations we're having in our house. And so to hear her tell him, just hold it all day, that's the answer. So that's why I'm ready to move on this, and I can't wait for this to be part of our code. It's long overdue, but it is necessary.
Supervisor Green.
Yeah, thank you. Both my parents died of tobacco-related causes, too. That doesn't mean I'm going to agree with all this. I'm just letting you know. When I hear about one-year-old kids getting vapes, I don't think they went to the liquor store to buy it. Parents have a responsibility in this. I want to go back to the structure of this. It's not clear that it applies to the unincorporated county only. I don't know, I'm not aware that we have any ability to apply it countywide under the statute that gives us the authority. That statute authorizes this jurisdiction to pass this. It doesn't necessarily automatically dovetail with city ordinances. Accordingly, the potential future relationship for enforcement in the cities is not expressly authorized in this ordinance. I suppose it can be done by MOU, but the ordinance itself is silent on it. And like any ordinance, is as good as the enforcement. So I want to look at the clause that says each tobacco retailer is going to get inspected at least one time every 12 months. And I have to go to our cannabis permit program. They have, 120 permits, and they struggle getting out every year to that. So how many tobacco retailers are in the unincorporated county? And if the vision is to also bring on the cities for enforcement, how many tobacco retailers are you proposing to inspect every 12 months under this ordinance?
So this current ordinance is just for the unincorporated areas, because we don't have jurisdiction, this board doesn't have jurisdiction to pass those policies in Clear Lake and Lakeport, so their boards need to pass those policies on their own. And we were looking at an MOU type of project to give the authority for those two jurisdictions for our environmental health to issue the license and do the enforcement. The DOJ grant is a little bit separate. That is separate from this policy here as far as the enforcement decoy operations that will be funneled through the Department of Justice grant initially. As far as the number of tobacco retailers, I know that currently those that are registered with the state of California, I know that there are tobacco retailers that are not registered with the tobacco program through the California state system. We have about 75 currently throughout the entire county. I can get back to you with the exact number of unincorporated retailers, but I don't have that currently with me today.
I was just saying, I was like,
For unincorporated only? Oh, perfect.
So if you can come up to the mic real fast, I'll go ahead and leave it. It's still open, right? I'll open it back up just in case I didn't, so we'll go from there. Go ahead.
Yeah, this
Joel.
is just from the same source that Liberty cited before, the CTAT, which is by Stanford, and there's 47 in unincorporated, at least that have the licenses.
Thank you.
Thank you.
47 in unincorporated?
Unincorporated.
Okay.
And that was Joanne Sakato.
Oh, sorry.
That's okay.
And then finally, so question for county council. I don't see the unincorporated word clearly expressed in either the title or the requirements of section 2. Does it require a formal statement as such to ensure that people subject to this ordinance know it just applies to the unincorporated county?
No, it wouldn't be necessary because by default, when County of Lake, your board passes or adopts an ordinance, it is understood that it would only apply to the jurisdictional areas that your board, County of Lake, has control over, so that would automatically exclude, at this point, initially, the cities which would have their own governing jurisdictions, governing bodies.
And the last question, you mentioned there may be some housekeeping on the chapter article references. I'm sure the board would be interested in that prior to making a motion.
Yes, so if your board willing to consider the housekeeping minor revisions, I could certainly walk through those for your board's consideration, so that these are minor revisions, but the revisions nonetheless, so that if your board proceeds with adopting with the first reading, approving the first reading of this ordinance, it would be as amended. If your board wishes, I could walk through those.
All right, looks like we have a consensus for that. Seeing some heads. No.
My apologies. Lloyd did send me those corrections, and apparently I missed one. So I apologize for that.
And this is just for purposes of transparency. I believe much of the revisions, these minor revisions, have been uploaded in the document that is labeled
725.
Yeah, uploaded August 8/5_TRL Legal Ledger 7.25.24. But again, just for purposes of transparency, I could walk through all of the revisions from the last posting under the Brown Act requirements of that time period of posting. I believe it was last week or late last week, and walk through all those revisions, much of which is already reflected in what was uploaded in August 5. So to start, I think because I would be referring to page numbers, so that would be the first minor revisions. Set of revisions would be to label each sheet of the legal ledger of this document, ordinance document, with a page number. So it would be pages 1 through 15, which would correspond to each sequential sheet of this document. So with that being said, on page 1, under the all caps bold heading of section 1, findings, findings should be corrected to be spelled at FIN, in all caps, FINDINGS. Moving on to page 2, I believe it's there on the later version, but just to again clarify, on page 2, above the title heading of Article 13 of Chapter 9 of the County Code is hereby added as follows. That's around line 16 of that page. There should be a section Roman numeral 2 above it. And from this point on, I would proceed with each page number. Well, I'll just do it this way. So on that same page, around line 17 and 18, where it says Section 1 definitions, that should be changed to Section 9-116 definitions. And that is done, and I'll be doing that in the course of the rest of these pages because that would be the right codification number once this is placed in the Lake County Code. So the last code section of Chapter 9 of the Lake County Code was Section 9-115. So following through with that would be reflected here as starting in Section 9-116. And on that same line number on page 2, the word references to chapter should be changed to article. Further down on that same page, around lines 23 to 25, the words title section should be capitalized at the first letter. Again, just a minor correction there. Moving on to page 3, round line 4 through 6, reference to chapter should be changed, revised to article. Moving forward further down, around lines 13 through 15, same type of revision. The reference to chapter should be changed to article. Doing okay.
Zoom's having a rave party.
Yes, we'll go ahead and take a break. We're having an issue with our Zoom and our cameras right now, or whatever you want to call it. So we'll take a 5-minute break.
Hackers.
Okay. Any more questions?
At least they're not screaming at us.
Spirit of my grandfather.
It wouldn't be if it was left.
And my father.
These are like little numbering things, capitalized. Yeah. Certainly,
ashtrays.
if we're at second reading, yeah.
Probably cigars. I wonder who would know.
You just go back to being kids. Ashtrays. They used to buy the extended ashtray too, like on eBay. Like they could fill up.
You could take it anywhere?
Yeah, it was like a giant ashtray. I could take all that stuff and it's still I consistent.
How do you have the guys over at our
Yeah, RC.
Yeah, that's what they do.
I know, what'd you say, Bruce? His best sellers.
Welcome back, Lloyd.
Oh, no,
I appreciate you.
Places that sell cigarettes in my district.
Everything.
You're good?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm waiting for them all to come back, then we're good.
We kind of look forward.
I got Tower, red and white, Chevron, Dollar General. All the stores in my district that sell cigarettes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a lot of them have like franchise laws and rules that are above the state level that they're already required to meet. Like some of them, it's an automatic ID no matter how old you are.
Supervisor Green, I think we're ready to go. He found the glitch. Yeah. All right, it looks like we have corrected the issue. And we'll go ahead and continue where we left off with County Counsel Lloyd Guentavano.
Yes, continuing with the suggested revisions, moving on to page 5.
Yes, I think we need Johanna, so we'll hold for a second.
Oops.
All right.
I don't know if she was writing it down with the changes.
I think she was, yes. So, I apologize for going too soon there.
I'm glad you caught it. I wasn't even thinking about it.
Yeah, we would have had to start.
Kind of an important person to have.
Yeah. Yay. No need. Thank you. We're already started, yeah, sorry about that. All right, we're going to go ahead and continue forward.
So continuing on to page 5, in this set of revisions, around lines 19 through 20, the reference to section 2, general requirements and prohibitions, the reference to section 2 should be changed to section 9-117. Further down, on lines 24 through 25, the reference to chapter should be changed to article. And moving on to page 6, at the top, lines 1 through 4, all references to chapter should be changed to the word article. And further down on lines 16 through 18, the reference to chapter should also be changed to article. On that same page, lines 20 through 21, the reference to section 3 should be changed to section 9-118. Moving on to page 7. At the top, lines 1 through 2, the reference to section 4 should be revised to state section 9-119. And further down, around lines 10 through 11, the reference to section 5 should be changed to section 9-120. Around line 16, the reference to section 6 should be changed to section 9-121. And on that same page, around lines 20 through 22, all references to the word chapter should be changed to article. Moving on to page 8, around lines 1 through 10, all references within that portion, all references to chapter should be changed to article. Around lines 12 through 13, the section 7 reference should be changed to section 9-122. And on lines 13 through 15, the reference to chapter should be changed to article. Around lines 18 through 19, again, the word chapter should be changed to article, as well as lines 21 through 22, the word chapter should be changed to article. Now, on lines 23 through 24, just for further clarification, the phrase "that is prohibited pursuant to this chapter, that is unlawful pursuant to any other chapter" should be read to state "that is prohibited pursuant to this article, that is unlawful pursuant to any other chapter." So just to make that clear, one word is changed, the other reference is retained. Moving on to page 9. At the top, lines 1 through 3, it should read, and I'll just read it in whole, "Any other reason the granting of a license to the applicant that is not consistent with the requirements of this article, including the applicant's history of noncompliance with this article and other laws relating to the sale of tobacco products." That's how it should be read. And just about one line down, around line 4, the reference to section 8 should be changed to section 9-123. And further down, around lines 9 through 10, the reference to section 9 should be revised to state section 9-124. Around lines 13 through 15, the reference to the word chapter should be changed to article. Around lines 20, the reference to section 10 should be changed to section 9-125. And around lines 22 to 23, the reference to chapter should be changed to article. Moving on to page 10, at the top, lines 1 through 2, the reference to section 11 should be revised to state section 9-126. And from lines 2 through 8, all references to the word chapter should be changed to article. And around lines 8 through 9, The reference to section 12 should be revised to state section 9-127. And then from lines 10 through 19, all references to the word chapter should be changed to article. Moving on to page 11, at the top, lines 1 through 2, reference to section 12 should be revised to state section 9-128. Around lines 5 through 6, the reference to the word chapter should be changed to article. Around lines 6 through 18, there is a reference to the phrase provisions of subsections B1-B5. That should be changed to the provisions of subsections B1 through B4 below. And then around lines 19, the reference to the word chapter should be changed to article. And then towards the bottom, around lines 26 through 27, the word thereon should be spelled Thereon. Moving on to page 12, around line 5, the reference to section 14 should be changed to section 9-129. And around lines 13 through 14, the reference to section 15 should be revised to state section 9-130. Moving on to page 13, around lines 4 to 5, the reference to section 16 should be read to state section 9-131. So section 9-131. And from lines 5 through 20, all references to the word chapter should be revised to state article. And then lines 20 to 21, the reference to section 17 should be revised to state section 9-132. And from lines 21 to 24, all references to chapter, the word chapter should be changed to the word article. And this would be the last page for the revisions, for purposes of the revisions. Page 14, at the top, lines 1 to 2, the reference to section 18 should be changed to section 9-133. And on lines 2 through 7, all references to the word chapter should be revised to state the word article. And that is all as far as the suggested revisions for your board's consideration. And again, if your board proceeds with the approval of the first reading of this ordinance, it would be as amended.
All right. Supervisor Sabatier?
Thank you so much. That was one. Thank you so much. There's one on that didn't help. Page 7. It was originally called Section 6B. Did we change Section 13C in that statement to the new number?
Meaning Section C of this article?
Section 13C of this article.
Oh, okay.
Did we rename that to the new number?
That's right. So it should, and thank you for that clarification, because on page 7, lines 20 through 22, the reference to section 13C should state section 9-128C. That would be the additional revision. Correct.
Thank you.
Supervisor Green?
Similarly, on page 9, under the new section 9-123, the last sentence refers to section 6. So I believe that would be amended to section 9-121.
Correct. Thank you for that.
All right. 1 second. Did you want to, I'll open it back up. Director Turner, please come up.
Thank you. We have not had, Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. We've had most of our discussions about the previous ordinance that was continued, but on this one, under definitions, I don't know the page number because it doesn't come up when we access it from the internet, but under section 1 in definitions, Under G, Department, means Lake County Department of Health Services and any agency or person designated by the department to enforce or administer the provisions of this chapter. I had some conversations with Liberty during the break, who assured me that this would not then be referred to code enforcement staff currently. However, given that I really hope that this program will work in the future and not have to change for a long time, I would feel a lot more comfortable if the department definition could stop at means Lake County Department of Health Services rather than any agency that department designates. Because historically, frequently on health and sanitation matters, we get complaints deferred or sent to us from Health Services Department for our enforcement. So we just like a little additional clarity in that would be permanent within the definition.
So the intent of that definition is to allow us to work with our local law enforcement agencies, not with community development.
So can I respond to that?
Yes.
I'm sorry. It doesn't say department. It says agency. And so we're not looking for another department to take
Just
this
as
on.
the sheriff's office counts as an agency, we also count
But
as
the
an
fact that it could be the city of Lakeport, it could be the city of Clear Lake, those are the agencies that this is looking to work with, as well as the sheriff's department. And so it kind of covers it all. But if it said department, I would be concerned just in the same way that you are. But it does not, because that is not the intent at all from what we have in front of us.
Thank you.
Supervisor Green.
County Council, one more section on page 11 at line 5, sections 2 through 5 should be amended to 9-117 through 9-120, if I'm doing it right.
Just for clarification, I'm still trying to look for, under page 11, the reference to section 13A was initially section.
At line 5, the reference to sections 2 through 5.
Right.
And then I just found another one on page 12. And the one on page 12 would be at line 3, that reference to section 7 would be amended to 9-122.
Yes, that would be fine, and also like to add, because I just spotted it, back to page 11, the reference to section 13A should state section 9-128A.
All right, if there's any other references? If not, looking for action.
County Council, can you help me with the motion, please?
Yes. It'll be two motions. So the first motion would be to approve the first reading of the ordinance as amended to be read in title only.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And she's going to go ahead and read it.
It's an ordinance of Lake County regulating tobacco product sales, requiring the licensure of tobacco retailers, and amending the Lake County Code.
All right. Go ahead.
And the second motion would be to approve the draft ordinance as amended be advanced to the next Board of Supervisors meeting for consideration and possible adoption.
So moved.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. Thank you. Thank you very much there. So we'll go ahead and move on. Thank you again, Director and Liberty.
Yes.
We'll move on to item 6.8, our 10:30 Consideration of request for post-abatement hearing on account and proposed assessment of abatement 265 Butler Street, Clear Lake Oaks, California, APN number 035-391-58. We have Community Development Director Maria Turner and Code Enforcement Manager Marcus Beltramo. They're coming to the...
Good morning.
All right, good morning.
Did you have a PowerPoint? Okay.
All right. Would we need to swear anyone in initially?
Do we need swearing in for an assessment hearing? It's not an appeal.
We don't need to?
Yeah, we,
Okay.
Yes, swearing in.
All right.
You are here for this hearing, and you're in the Zoom room, please raise your hand. And if you're in the chambers, raise your hand. All right. Do you solemnly swear that the testimony you're about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I do. All right, thanks.
All right.
Hello, Mireya Turner, Community Development Director. This is the first of 3 post-abatement hearings, and I will turn it over to our Code Enforcement Manager, Marcus Beltramo. Thank you.
Good morning to the board. My name is Marcus Beltramo. I'm the manager of the Code Enforcement Division for the County of Lake. Today we're hearing an account and proposed assessment, a lien hearing for the property 265 Butler Street in Clear Lake Oaks, California. 265 Butler Street, Clear Lake Oaks, California is located in Clear Lake Oaks proper. This was in the designated area of the Roadmap Task Force. This property was discovered through proactive code enforcement during, while conducting activities related to the Roadmap Task Force. To kind of put it in layman's terms, our officer was working the area. He was flagged down by neighbors and the surrounding community. They alerted us to this property, that the property was being used to for people to park their cars, dump their cars, and also the property was being accessed, stripped, other miscellaneous type of things that were going on that were affecting surrounding properties and the welfare of the general public. The officer here today that was handling this investigation is Officer Christopher Colin. If you need any specifics, he can provide his insight and his testimony on any questions the board may have. The owners are a Patricia Hacker and a Robert Hacker. It's our information and understanding that they are deceased. The property is zoned as an R1 single-family residential property. It's improved with a manufactured home. The property taxes are not delinquent. They've been kept up. Through the process, as we went on, we discovered that there may be an affiliation with a possible family member or a related person stationed in Guam. So we did reach out to send notices to Guam, to the address that we discovered, in an effort to notify a responsible or a party that has an interest in this. Also, we did reach out with the lender. We contacted the lender and let them know of the issues occurring on the property and our notices and the violations occurring on the property. Here are some of the pictures that were taken of the property. So we utilize the vacant structure ordinance. The vacant structure ordinance does allow us entry into the premises if it's unsecured. Also, through the California Building Code, we are also allowed access into vacant structures if they're unsecured, basically just to do a cursory inspection and ensure that there's no safety issues occurring. These photos were taken. As you can see, there's miscellaneous rubbish and trash throughout the interior. This is, I believe, the garage area. On the right, you can see there's miscellaneous items just stacked all around the house. You can see a window that's unsecured. The house obviously has been run through, miscellaneous rubbish and items strewn throughout the interior of the house. On the right, we also discovered that there was leaking water. The structure itself is actually in pretty good condition. It's one of the type of structures that we would appreciate and like to see more in the Clear Lake Oaks area. But when we discovered the water issue, as you can see in the picture, mushrooms and fungus and fungi were forming. So that raised a concern here because the persistent leakage of water could also cause mold issues and other health issues which would affect the structure and anybody who occupied it. So we had concerns there. As you can see on the left, this is evidence of visible mold. That's a violation under the California Health and Safety Code. Again, on the right is just another picture of trash strewn throughout the interior of the property. Here you can see an access point where the elements can get into the interior of the property, affecting the structure and the structural integrity. Again, another photo of trash and rubbish in the backyard exterior area. On the left, these were vehicles that were being parked by neighbors. They were just parking in there on this property without, to our understanding, without permission. One on the gold car, I believe we determined was inoperable. The one on the right was just being parked just at random, just to park it there. We did issue a notice of nuisance in order to abate for the property. Again, the main authority that we exercised here or executed was Chapter 5, the vacant structure ordinance, and then we cited several violations of the California Health and Safety Code and Chapter 13 issues for garbage, rubbish, and inoperable vehicles. We did post a notice of violation on the property as well, but with the deceased parties, I'm not sure that we're going to be able to move forward on the collection of any fines. We did issue a last and final notice. The reason I provided this slide here is you can see as the third addressee on there, we did send it to a place in Guam where we identified a party that may have an interest in this property. Like I said, it's a very nice mobile home. Based on the conditions of the property, we did red tag it. It is on our red tag list. These photos here of the post abatement. So under the vacant structure ordinance, we are to secure the property by boarding. We did board it up. On the right, you can see how we boarded it up from the inside to make sure it was secure so they couldn't bust through it. Using stocks. On the right is just more photos of the boarding of the outside of the property. That one photo that I showed you where it was a access hole that allowing the elements into the property, that was boarded up as well. That also prevents vermin from getting in there as and other type of rodents or animals. We didn't just leave the boarding as it was, just with the wood colored. Under the ordinance, we have to paint it the same color as the house. So our contractors went and they found a color that was similar to the color type, so it blends in. And here's just some more evidence and photos of our boarding and the wood boardings being painted to match the exterior of the property. Here's the photos again, just of what the property looks like after everything was cleaned up. The cars were removed. Some cars were removed voluntarily. I believe there was one car that may have been towed. But that was done through the AVA program. We hired 360 Junk Removal and Hauling as our contractor to perform the work here. The contractor invoice is for $3,000. Administrative costs were in the amount of $751.75. Staff is recommending the Board of Supervisors approve a lien amount of $3,751.75 and direct staff to record a lien with the county recorder's office, which then shall be delivered to the auditor's office, which I believe the direct charges are due at the end of this week. So we'll add that to that list if approved by the board. At this time, that concludes my presentation.
Anything else to add? No? Any comments from the board, Supervisor Sabatier?
Who's paying for the plywood?
I'm sorry?
Who's paying for the plywood?
That would be part of the contractor costs.
So
that would be the materials and labor included.
Thank you.
All right. I'll open it up for the public. No public here. Anyone online? Nope. All right. I'll bring it back to the board for action. It's in my district, so anyone can make the motion if they'd like.
Move to approve a lien in the amount of $3,751.75 and direct staff to record the lien against the property with the Lake County Recorder's Office, and after recordation, to be delivered to the county auditor, who shall enter the amount of the lien on the assessment roll as special assessments.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. Next, we have our item 6.9, which is our 1045 hearing, consideration of request for post-abatement hearing on account and proposed assessment of abatement 11625 Garden Court, Clear Lake Oaks, APN 035263-27. Go ahead.
And just for clarification, as far as this, the persons who were sworn in, because this is a separate public hearing item, your board may pose that same question and do the same process for this one.
If there is anyone here to swear in, we'll go ahead and allow this time for it as well. Is there anyone on Zoom? Do you see? Okay.
I think everyone but Betsy online is on staff.
Okay. And so they're swore in, right? So they're good, or do we need to do it again?
Either way, but yeah, just to clarify that the swearing in, those who were sworn in previously also apply here.
All right. You want me to do it? And then do we need to, it said Lucerne, but.
Right, yeah, if we could just clarify, there was a typographical error on the staff report. It does say the city of Lucerne, however, this is from Clear Lake Oaks. The street address and the APN, as well as ownership information, remain accurate.
All right.
All right. All right, so I'll begin my presentation here for inheriting an account for the property 11625 Garden Court, Clear Lakes, California. Again, we always provide a map. As you can see, it's right there on the lake down in this area down here. Property owner information, Richard Waters. We were not able to contact him or determine if he's still living. There was a living property owner, Lisa Waters Renee Venanzio. Sorry. We did have contact with her. We did give her the notice. She did contact us back, acknowledging she did receive the notice, but she had concerns about being able to appear here today. We did inform her she could appear via Zoom or electronically. I'm not sure if that's occurring here, and I'll let Johanna comment if she does wish to participate. The lot type is R1 Single Family District. It was initially improved with multiple structures. There was a fire, so now it's down to a single a structure on that property. These are the photos we took of the property here. On the left, you can see various woods and materials and rubbish not stored in compliance. When you are storing items on your property, they have to be maintained out of public view, and you only get a certain amount of area dependent upon the size of your property. On the right are photos of the interior. Again, the doors were left open. These pictures were taken from outside in. She had a exorbitant amount of chickens and roosters on the property, a large amount of chickens and roosters on the property. Animal control was also involved in this. The inside, if you can tell, up in this area on the dresser was, for lack of a better word, caked with chicken waste throughout the entire structure. So chicken poop all over the interior of the house. Again, you can see on the left there is a rooster here. There were a lot of exotic type of poultry and livestock on the property. You can see on the right there were some hoarding issues. Hoarding is a public nuisance. On the left, the picture's not too great, but in the shadow there are bags of trash lined up here, not properly containerized. On the right, you have inoperable vehicles and large amounts of rubbish and trash not stored properly or properly contained. Here's a picture from an upper unit that shows down on the property, and you can see the disarray and the condition of the property. Here's another photo as well. As you can see, it's in a non-compliant state. Just some more pictures here. Again, on the left, you can see the trash is kind of overflowing and trying to come out the doorway. On the right, You can see another room that's in a form of disarray. That also could be an issue for emergency egress in case they have to get out, or if emergency services have to get in. You have to have an unabated or a clear pathway to a public vantage point. Again, just some more photos reiterating what I've spoken about earlier. And on the left here, you can see piles, I would say trash and clothes just coming out of a storage area below one of the structures. So we issued a notice of nuisance in order to abate. We cited various violations of Chapter 13. Also cited violations of the zoning ordinance, Chapter 21 as well. These are there was a fire on the property, so we had noticed the property. While the property was going through its correction period, a fire occurred. The fire department was involved. I believe 2 individuals have been charged with the fire department, charged with the crime for the fire that was caused. We did post a red tag on the property. The fire did cause additional violations because trash, rubbish, unhealthy materials, hazardous materials were along the house. We did work with we got in contact with the property owner, her insurance company, and we did work with the insurance company, let them come clean up their part of the property, and then we performed our abatement. The property owner did give us access to the property. She did sign a consent to inspect and right of entry permit that allows us to go in and abate it, acknowledging that she'll pay costs. We had concerns about the property owner's capacity. Therefore, we determined that we should get a warrant. And so we went out and obtained a warrant because we just had concerns that she didn't have the capacity to enter into an agreement and to have full understanding what we were asking for. So we did get a warrant. These are photos of the property after the abatement. As you can see, after the fire, basically all we could do is just go in and clear out the surrounding areas around the structures. The one structure that had the major fire damage, that's where the hoarding was occurring. So the fire took care of the hoarding. The insurance came and took care of the materials that were burnt in the fire. So that reduced our abatement costs. On the right, you can see a truck where it's just being loaded with the materials. The neighbors went to the extent where they actually were riding on the inoperable vehicles. Code enforcement, please take this, please take that. So this vehicle, I do not believe is being charged to the property. We took that under AVA because we could not determine that it was actually on the property. Those AVA funds are not county funds. They come from a state agency or through a state program. We hired Cook Construction to perform the abatement. The cost of the abatement was $6,438. Administrative costs amount to $802.30. We're recommending the Board of Supervisors approve a lien amount of $7,240.30 and direct staff to record a lien with the Recorder's Office and then to deliver those costs to the county auditor to be put on the tax rolls. And that concludes my presentation for Garden Court.
All right. Supervisor Green?
Yeah, just because you mentioned the capacity issue, is the person with that issue a beneficial owner of this property as defined?
It was Lisa Waters is how we know her. So she signed and allowed us to access the property. But again, hoarding is one indication of a mental health issue. We also had concerns through our interactions with her. We had to routinely deal with her parents to move forward with the property and correct issues on the property. Her parents basically had to step in on our behalf because they didn't feel that she had the ability to work with us as well. So we kind of worked with them as well. So
I guess my follow-up question might be clearly on the title, but is she a responsible party?
She is a responsible party. She is listed on the grant deed.
Is she a responsible party as evidenced by her behavior? If there are limitations on her capacity, what level of responsibility can be assigned to her?
So I think we get into a thing where it's a little bit out of my scope. I'm not really a person that can determine her mental health capacity, but out of these concerns, we determined, or we felt that it was best to go through a judge, get a warrant, and get authorization through a judge. I'm hoping I'm answering your question appropriately, but I would defer to county council on this.
Yes, Lloyd, I'm not sure if you heard.
It sounds like there was an additional layer of concern on this, such as they found good cause to seek a property inspection warrant. And I don't know if that helps us get over the finding or the proposed finding that this is a responsible party. So is the serving of a property inspection warrant sufficient that all the other facts presented here, but with some testimony that there may be some capacity issues, and of course the party's not here to speak to it. As defined in our Lake County Code, a responsible party, is it just the mere fact of property ownership that makes her responsible?
But she's not getting any liens on her. The liens are on the property, and the pictures are proof that there's violations on the property. So I think that's a different subject and a different issue.
We're veering off, but I'll go ahead and give it to county council to elaborate.
So the short answer to that, pending, looking into this further, would be yes. The staff has indicated that they took the additional route of obtaining an inspection warrant under those same facts and circumstances. Inspection warrant was granted to them, and what's before your board today is the recommended imposition of the or approval of the lien for that amount. Not sure if notice was provided to any other persons outside of this individual. Staff maybe can speak to that.
So under the county code, our duties are to post at the property and to mail at the address listed on county records. We met that requirement. Again, Lisa Waters is the only person that we could identify that had a interest in the property. But again, I think now that I understand your question better, legally, she is the responsible party. She's the person on title. Therefore, she is the person that's held accountable and responsible for the condition of the property.
And just as an additional note, I do see that in the notices and in the correspondence to proofs of service, there is also a Richard Waters referenced there as under that same property address.
I'd like to ask our officer, Code Enforcement Supervisor Norman Valdez. He could comment on this as he was directly involved and he was assigned this investigation.
Come on up, Norman.
Hi there. My name is Norman Valdez with Lake County Code Enforcement. Richard Waters was Lisa Waters' husband. He is deceased, as according to Lisa Waters.
All right, thanks. Any other questions or concerns on that? And I'll open it up to the public. And I know there's none, but if there's any online, bring it back for action. Again, this is in my district, but anyone can make this motion for me.
Mr. Chair, I move for the Board of Supervisors to approve a lien on the amount of $7,240.30 and direct staff to record the lien against the property with the Lake County Recorder's Office. After recordation shall be delivered to the county auditor, who shall enter the amount of the lien on the assessment roll as special assessments.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
No.
Motion carries 4-1. Okay, and then this next one, is this 115 or is it supposed to say 1115? So it's at 115? Okay, so we'll be coming back at 115 for that. We are at 1214, which I know that we have others, but those are non-timed items aside from this. So maybe do you all feel comfortable taking a lunch from now and then coming right back into this at 1:15? Yes,
Yeah.
yes, okay, I got two, and then, yes, we're good. So we will
Whatever
be
you
back
said,
here
yes.
to talk about 6.10 at 1:15 after our lunch break. Thank you, everyone. We'll see you then.
USB out or leave it in there?
Okay, looks like we are ready to come back here after the lunch break for our Board of Supervisors meeting here on August 6th, 2024. And we are on item 6.10, which is a hearing consideration of request for post-abatement hearing on account and proposed assessment of abatement 11195 Pingree Road, Clear Lake Oaks, California, APN number 035-491-26. And we have Community Development Director Maria Turner and Code Enforcement Manager Marcus Beltramo. Floor is yours.
That was a very good introduction. I'll just hand the mic over to Marcus to continue. Thank you.
And if I may, Vice Chair Crandall, so again, on the issue of the swearing of the witnesses, if there's anyone for this particular item in Zoom or
I'm not noticing in the chambers if anyone's here on it, but I think maybe we'll check Zoom.
Derek Horn. You might go by Derek Flattery.
Okay. All right.
So just to clarify that, the ones who were sworn in will also apply for this particular item, 6.10.
Okay. Excellent.
All right, I'll begin my presentation. Again, this is a hearing on account and proposed assessment for 11195 Pingree Road, Clear Lake Oaks, California. Here's a map. It is situated on Highway 20 at the western end of Clear Lake Oaks, outside of Clear Lake proper. The owner of record is Derek Horn. I believe he goes by Derek Flattery also, but on title it's listed as Derek Horn. The property is owned R1 single family residential. The lot type now is currently a vacant lot. At the time we started our processes, it was improved with a mobile home. There was a fire on the property while the notice was in process, so we had to go through certain steps to address the issues created by the fire. At the time we started the process, the property was in tax default. That was cured. The property has since gone back into default as of 6/30/2023 in the amount of $2,274.37. In order to kind of expedite the process and kind of give it abbreviated, I'm not going to go into the noticing part before the fire, as we had to write a superseding notice after the fire as additional violations occurred. So these are photos after the fire occurred, after the mobile home had burnt down. This property is really more commonly known, or what's identifiable about it is it used to have garage doors as fences, and it was right on the corner of Highway 20 and Pingree Road, and that's kind of how people knew this property or could identify this property. As you can see, there's inoperable vehicles, there's miscellaneous rubbish, junk all over the property. Again, the home is no longer on the property, so it's a vacant lot, which storage on the lot was considered an accessory or secondary use. More photos of just miscellaneous items on the property. I would like to state for the record, this was one of our legacy problems. This was a property that's been in violation since I started my employment with the County of Lake. So this one was a big one for us to get down, and it was causing a lot of problems. And it's one of these magnet properties that attracts a lot of issues and creates a lot of issues. As you can see, there's still burnt rubbish. There was a orange porta potty on the property. During the process, he did move the RV onto the property and was living on the RV. So we issued several notices. We issued a first notice on March 29, 2022, prior to the fire. Then we issued a notice on April 27, 2022, after the fire. And then another superseding notice as additional violations had occurred on July 15, 2022. We cited several violations of Chapter 13 for conditions detrimental to the public health, violations contrary to the uses allowed by Chapter 21, the zoning ordinance, of rubbish, trash, unsightly appearance, and inoperable vehicles. And then we also cited under the IPMC, the International Property Maintenance Code in Chapter 5, we cited that it was dangerous structure or premises. These are photos after the abatement was done. The RV would move on and off. So after we had cleared the lot, He brought the RV back on the property, and he brought the 2 other vehicles back on the property. So it just kind of shows you that it's the individuals that cause these problems. Even though we had cleared the lot and brought it back into compliance, he then brought these vehicles back onto the property almost immediately. I would say almost within a 24-hour period, if not lesser. But the lot was cleared of all of the debris and the hazardous material. I do also want to extend my gratitude to the Lake County Probation. They got involved with this property, and they assisted with us in informing the individual that he needed to remove these issues from the property, as he may have issues with his probation status. So that was a big help for us to finally get this individual to understand he cannot live in an RV on this property nor store items on this property. So that assistance was greatly appreciated. The individual now is living on an RV on Harvey and Mitchell, and we're addressing that currently. Contractor costs. So there was 2 costs involved here. We hired Leonard's Hauling to remove all the debris and the items from the property. That cost was $6,906.16. Also, prior to removing the items from the property, we contacted the landfill and asked them about the materials and if they had any special requirements. They informed us due to the type of metals, beryllium, lead, copper, that they wanted a test done. So we hired Adams Labs to do some asbestos tests and testing for the metals there before we could take them and dispose them at the dump. The cost of that was $1,720. Administrative costs amounted to $855.41. Staff is recommending the Board of Supervisors approve a lien in the amount of $9,481.57 and to direct staff to record a lien with the Lake County Recorder's Office, which then shall be delivered to the county auditor, who should enter the amount of lien on the special tax rolls. At this time, that concludes my presentation.
All right, Supervisor Green.
Thank you. County Council will be looking at Section 13-7. Was this a noticed hearing?
A notice, we sent the notice, we did mail a notice out.
Of this hearing?
Yes, on, I believe the date was July 19th it went out. The individual, we mailed him notices over the entire span.
But the individual didn't request this hearing, right?
No, he did not.
Okay. Then absent a request for this type of hearing, I'm just wondering if this is the appropriate procedure. Granted, I don't see anything in here that would allow the board to consider imposing the lien absent a actual appeal and a hearing. I do see one paragraph that says if a request for hearing is not filed, the enforcement official may order the work to be performed. But absent a hearing to come before this board as far as what to do with the lien, I'm not seeing it in here. So is there a default procedure in which a property owner who does not file a request for hearing, that we can hold a hearing absent such request?
So this hearing is similar in structure to the previous 2 that we visited today. No hearing. What I think that what you're talking about is a request for hearing as for the purpose of appeal. This is not that type of a hearing. And so the property owner does not need to request a hearing such as this one that is before you today. This is for your approval of the work that was done so that we can go ahead and post that lien.
What alternative procedure are you citing to then?
The ones that we had a couple weeks ago was an actual hearing that was requested in appeal or in argument of the work that was going on. And so the effort then would have been on the appellant or the property owner to persuade the board that this abatement action was not necessary and was done in error. And so the lien would not have been approved. That's a requested hearing from the property owner. However, what we have today, the 3 that have been brought before you today, have not been appeal hearings or argument hearings requested by the property owner, but is rather just part of our ministerial process to come before you with the work that was done so that you approve our next step, which is to post that lien and then have it added to the tax rolls.
So I think for this particular hearing, I think in part it would be based on Lake County Code, Section 13-42, on the hearing on account and proposed assessment, and those sets of procedures following through with liens and collections under Section 13-43.
All right, Supervisor Sabatier?
Thank you. You said it was a legacy property. I'm sorry, you just closed the presentation.
Oh, sorry.
Back up and share it.
Is there a certain slide you'd like me to?
Sorry, my mic wasn't on. If you can please share. I just wanted to show the picture where you show that it's been completely cleaned off.
Am I still sharing here? I'm sorry,
It should be like the last slide.
These
Yeah,
ones?
right there. And so if I'm correct, this is from the street looking into the property.
No, it's not. It's from the Highway 20 is off to the right. Pingree is to the further part of the photo. This is on a vacant lot to the west of this property.
So where exactly is so you're taking the picture from a vacant lot looking into the property next door? Because my problem is it's not secured, which means that if this individual doesn't do anything, this property will continue to be a legacy problem. I know that in the past, and I think it was in Clear Lake Oaks, I kind of gave you some problems about putting up a gate, but I would still love to see at least some lumber or something to block entry point into this property so that it doesn't continue to be on your radar so we can really move on and take care of other things. I just wanted to make that statement.
And there was a fence, but I believe the fence was damaged in the fire. So that's something we'll take into account and under advisement, and we'll look into the future. But that is a real concern, is them being able to come back on the property and do this. And like I said, less than 24 hours, if not just 24 hours, they were already moving stuff back on. So I understand.
I know that there was no one else that swore in, so I'll go ahead and open it up to the public just for the sake of doing it. There's anyone on Zoom? Nope. All right, I'll bring it back to the board for action. And I do know this has been a legacy issue, so I'm glad to see it come across the pipeline. So
Now, this property, we had to deal with it, and it's one of these ones that we're hoping will have a domino effect and we can build momentum on, and to send the message that this type of condition of a property was not going to be allowed to continue or persist.
Thank you.
If there's not further, I move to approve a lien in the amount of $9,481.57 and direct staff to record the lien against the property with the Lake County Recorder's Office. And after recordation, it shall be delivered to the county auditor, who shall enter the amount of the lien on the assessment roll as special assessments.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. Thank you very much for the presentation and for the 3 items today.
Thank you.
So looks like we're on our non-timed items, and it looks like we will start off at 7.4. Yeah, I didn't even see you. That's why yeah, good. 7.4, so consideration of amendment number 2 to the agreement between County of Lake and BHC Heritage Oaks Hospital Incorporated for acute inpatient psychiatric hospital services and professional services associated with acute inpatient psychiatric hospitalization in the amount of $350,000 for fiscal year 23 and 24. And we have Behavioral Health Director Elise Jones here.
Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Board, this amendment for Behavioral Health Heritage Oaks Hospital is for payment of acute inpatient psychiatric hospitalization services, and will close out our fiscal year 23-24 costs for that hospital.
Sorry about that. All right, are there any questions? Open it up for the public. Not hearing anything, I'll bring it back to the board.
Mr. Mr. Chair, I move to approve amendment number 2 to the agreement from the County of Lake and BHC Heritage Oaks Hospital, Inc. for acute inpatient psychiatric hospital services and professional services associated with acute inpatient psychiatric hospitalization in the amount of $350,000 for fiscal year 23-24 and authorize the board chair to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. All right. We will move on to 7.5, consideration of agreement between County of Lake and Creative Alternatives, Inc., Incorporated, for specialty mental health services in the amount of $100,000 for fiscal year 24 and 25. Director Jones.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chair, Board. So this Creative Alternatives is an out-of-county provider of short-term therapeutic residential treatment services. These are services, these are formerly known as group homes. And so and I'm sorry, but we're going to be seeing an increase of contracts with Lake County for out-of-home STRTP placements. That's what it stands for, group home placements. And the piece of legislation that was recently passed, which changes some things about which counties are responsible for these, makes it so Lake County has to keep our kids on our Medi-Cal and be responsible for those services. There was a previous piece of legislation that, again, I'm a little off my game today, I guess I normally can recall those, but it allowed counties to presumptively transfer to the county where the youth was going. So if we had a youth that was going to a group home in Butte County, we would usually apply for we would transfer that youth, and they are now Lake County or Butte County's youth. If they would come back to Lake County, we would deal with them at that time. The new law says, for a variety of reasons, that wasn't such a great idea. So now the county of the placing county must keep and hold those kids. STRTPs are bill fee-for-service Medi-Cal for specialty mental health services. So the room and board portion of that, I believe, is covered by DSS, but then the specialty services that are provided within the milieu we cover. So again, this will be the first of many, I anticipate, since we have very few, if any, actually, STRTPs in county for Lake County youth. So that's what we got going on.
No questions? All right. Supervisor Green.
So I appreciate how difficult it is. STRTPs is the highest of the high level treatment options, but Turlock, that's a long haul. So I think you're correct. There's no STRTPs within Lake County. And I see Ms. Dillman Parsons here, but I don't know that there's anything in Northern California. So
There are.
Do we have other STRTP contracts closer to home?
Forthcoming. There will be more. Not all of them are the same, obviously, and so different placements we have some very, some youth with some very high needs that can be very difficult to keep safe, and so these placements tend to be, it's not ideal, but youth safety is paramount. It is far away, I agree, but.
Thank you.
All right, so I'll go ahead and open it up for the public. Is there any public input on this item, online or on Zoom? Nope. All right, I'll bring it back to the board for action.
Move to approve the agreement between County of Lake and Creative Alternatives, Inc. for specialty mental health services in the amount of $100,000 for fiscal year 2024-25 and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And motion carries. Next item on the agenda is 7.6, or is that all right? No, 7.5, I'm sorry. No, that was.
7.5.
Okay, so do you have another one?
Do I? No, if I don't, I don't. I'm good.
No, it's all right. She was sitting there, so I was thinking she had another one. My fault.
It's just being weird.
It is 7.6. Consideration 2A, rescind action taken on item 5.14 on July 23rd, 2024. Approval of contract between County of Lake and California Department of Social Services for agency adoption services and resource family approval family evaluations in the amount of $1,218,968, and authorize the chair to sign, adopt resolution of the Board of Supervisors approving the standard agreement number 23-5021A1 between the County of Lake and California Department of Social Services for Resource Family Approval Program Adoptions Program merge, and authorizing the Director of Social Services to sign the standard agreement. Social Services.
So, thank you. And I'm going to ask that there be no action taken on this today. Hold it for a future agenda or request that it be removed. There are some errors that need to be corrected. Namely, CDSS does not want my signature. They want the Board of Supervisors' signature, so we need to correct the documents to reflect that.
Okay. Do we have any comments or anything of the like? No? So I'll open it up for public, as there's none here in the room. So is there any on Zoom? None in Zoom. So we'll go ahead. Do we have to motion to do this, or we just?
No, so it would be essentially pulling the item for a later date under the request of the Director of Social Services.
All right. Well, if
Okay.
that's the case, then we'll look forward to this coming to us in the future. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. So, do you think we can? All right, I think we can. So we'll go on to 7.2. Consideration of A, bid number 24-40 for the supply of bulk number 2 diesel fuel and unleaded gasoline. B, Nick Barbieri Trucking's bid for number 2 diesel fuel and unleaded gasoline. And C, agreement between the County of Lake and Nick Barbieri Trucking for the supply of diesel fuel and unleaded gasoline from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027, and authorize the chair to sign. ACAO Stephen Carter, Jr.
Junior. Good afternoon, Board. So Administration Office does this about every 5 years. We do bulk fuel for both diesel and gasoline, as well as propane. That's why you see both of them on today. On June 13th, we sent out the request for sealed bids. That's where we know it's going to be over 50,000. And we did receive two different respondents, Nick Barbieri Trucking. So what they bid on is just basically their profit margin above OPEC rate, the San Francisco OPEC rate of the day. So the trucking company, so I don't have to say it again, bid 10 cents basically profit, and Westgate Petroleum was the second bidder, which was 19.5 cents. So as a sealed bid goes, it goes to the lowest responsible bidder. So we are requesting that you allow us to contract with Nick Barbieri Trucking. I can't say it.
All right. Are there any questions or comments or concerns? Not seeing any at the dais. Is there anybody on Zoom? All right. Bringing it back to the board for action. And it looks like we have like a A, B, and C type thing going. Do we do them all in one or one at a time?
Your board may want to do it one at a time.
Okay, excellent. So we'll start off with A.
Move to approve bid number 24-40 for the supply of bulk number 2 diesel fuel and unleaded gasoline.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. B.
Move to accept and sign Nick Barbieri Trucking's bid for number 2 diesel fuel and unleaded gasoline.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? C, letter C.
Move to approve the agreement between the County of Lake and Nick Barbieri Trucking for the supply of diesel fuel and unleaded gasoline from July 1, 2024 through June 30, 2027, and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. That concludes 7.2. We'll move on to 7.3. Consideration of A, bid number 24-41 for the supply of bulk propane. B, Westgate Petroleum's bid for propane. And C, Agreement between the County of Lake and Westgate Petroleum for the supply of propane fuel from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027, and authorize the chair to sign. Stephen Carter.
Thank you, Board. So again, we sent out the sealed bids request on June 13th. For propane, we received 3 respondents: Faro Gas, 50 cents above cost, Suburban Propane, 25 cents, and Westgate Petroleum of 22 cents, which again, the lowest responsible bidder. And I do want to apologize to the 2 vendors that it took so long to get to the board, but we were having contract signature problems. But other than that, to your board for Westgate Petroleum.
All right. I don't see any comments from the board. If there's anyone online on Zoom that may have, don't see anybody, so I'll bring it back to the board for action. We have A, B, and C once again.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve awarding bid number 24-41 for the supply of bulk propane.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, motion carries.
Mr. Chair, I move to accept and sign Westgate Petroleum's bid for propane.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agreement between the County of Lake and Westgate Petroleum for the supply of propane fuel from July 1st, 2024 through June 30th, 2027, and authorize the chair to sign.
Second.
I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. And that's 7.3 is now finished. Let's see. Do we just have calendars now? Is that what it looks like? All right, so we'll go to calendars. Anybody want to start out? All right, Supervisor Sabatier, go.
I will
Chair
forego my
Sabatier.
calendar today so I don't hurt anybody further with my voice.
All right. Go ahead. Supervisor Pyska.
Tomorrow, I will be in Ukiah at 8 a.m. for NCO meeting. We're interviewing CEO candidates. And then I will be on my way home, stopping to tour the Artemis Copac Center. And then Thursday, I may catch the second half of the Fire Safe Council meeting. I was invited to the pair planning meeting, and that's, PAIR is an acronym, but I can't remember what it's for. I think it's, well, it's with NCO and the fire and the RCD. And then at noon, I've been invited to be on Secretary Crowfoot's monthly panel, and the topic is wildfire. So I'll be joined with Director Tyler from CAL FIRE and a Deputy Secretary from Resource, Patrick Wright from the Wildfire Task Force, and a few others. So doing that Thursday at noon. And then the governing board meeting for AAA. This is going to be a week. And then Friday is Bruno's birthday. I have it in my calendar. So don't forget that.
What are we doing?
We're staying away from you, my friend. But I am going to be going on a several-hour tour with Clerk to look at all the CWDG projects in District 5. And then I have a call with a constituent in the afternoon. And then Tuesday, my meeting with Assistant CAO, and then back on Tuesday.
I'll go ahead and go finish up today's meeting. Obviously, we've got closed section next. Don't have too much on the calendar this week. School starting again for everybody, I think, today, tomorrow, most of the schools. The Middletown District, I think Thursday. So anyway, everybody going back to school, sports, fall sports going on too. So got all those in. Thursday night math meeting, Friday got the meeting with ACAO, Stephen Carter Jr., and going to get that done, and then going to move along into next week, so, and back here on Tuesday.
Supervisor Green?
Yeah, thanks. Just a quick shout out last Thursday to a Continuum of Care. Our North Lakeport Emergency Shelter has some things to work out, including making sure we protect that against both planned and unplanned power outages. And I'm appreciative that group nudged a little planning forward, and I hope to hear back on that. Today, a special meeting of Lakeport Fire at 5:30. Then I'll be going to Lakeport City Council to see the second of two proclamations today for Brad Rasmussen, the retiring Lakeport Police Chief, and also the swearing in of Lakeport's new police chief, Dale Stobie. Looking forward to that. Friday, I see a Big Valley G-Spec committee meeting. I may just zoom in on that to see how that goes. Monday, meeting with ACAO Carter. And that's it for now.
All right. I'll start out with last week. Just wanted to highlight that on Saturday I attended the Clear Lake Oaks Market. It's at Nylander Park. It was really cool to see all the vendors out there at the park. There's going to be another one next month. They have it monthly, and so I'll put out information so that folks know. Apparently, because of the conflict of other markets that were happening, there wasn't the full spectrum of everybody there, but it was really still good to see. So was in attendance to that. Following the meeting today, I'll be jumping on the Farm, Ranch, and Rural Communities Federal Advisory Committee. The meeting is in Pennsylvania. I opted out of going because I didn't want to miss this meeting or anything else.
Glad you didn't.
So I stayed. I can join via Zoom this time, and so I just did so. Let's see, and I'll probably be doing the same tomorrow, as the heart of the meeting is pretty much tomorrow, and it ends tomorrow as well. Let's see. Oh, Earth in Clear Lake Oaks, East Region Town Hall, and then the CSA meeting in Spring Valley. Thursday, again, if there's any follow-up for the Farm, Ranch, and Rural Communities, I will jump on that as well. There is a meeting that will commence for the ad hoc, so I'll be part of that. There's also another meeting that I'll jump on Zoom regarding USDA veterans farming grants, and so I'll be discussing or being a part of a panel to look at grants and whatnot and comment. AAA at 1:30, an Area Agency on Aging, and that'll be here at the Lakeport Hospice office, right? So that'll be in person. Friday, I'm part of what's called the Institute for Local Government, Sustainable and Resilient Communities, and a Resilient Communities Advisory Panel, and it's the first meeting that we've had. I was recently asked to be a part of it, I want to say in early June, and so they've pushed it forward, and so I'll be doing that. It has city council members, county supervisors, district board members for like special districts or water districts or anything of the like, so we'll be a part of that. And then, of course, it's Bruno's birthday, so I could see now why he's trying to protect his voice so he can like sing that day or something. I don't know, but so we got Monday a CAO meeting or a CAO meeting with Stephen Carter Jr. PG&E meeting, is that something we're doing, or is that the week after?
It's next week.
It's okay. So there's a next week PG&E meeting. And then Central Region Town Hall, that's in the evening at the Lucerne Alpine Senior Center, and on Monday evening, and then I'll be back here for the board meeting Tuesday. With that, it looks like we've covered all of our agenda items except for closed session, so I'll go ahead and start reading those off. And my agenda is like, okay, there it goes. All right, so 8.1. Public employee appointment pursuant to Government Code Section 54957B1, interviews for Animal Control Director, appointment of Animal Control Director, and 8.2, conference with legal counsel, existing litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D1, in response to National Prescription Opiate Litigation MDL number multi-districts litigation, is that what it is? Yeah. Number 2804, case number 17-MD-2804. With that, we'll go into closed session.